The hero's son and the ghost of the demon king are the master and pupil. Earth, the son of the hero who defeated the great demon king, is troubled, always expected to achieve great things, but unable to meet those expectations. No matter the effort he puts in and the results he obtains, it's never enough for them. Even he sometimes thinks that he is a disappointment compared to his father, or hears others say that he does not know he is the hero's son. Every day like this, Earth meets his destiny in the room containing the sword of his father, the hero. Interesting. I will train you. I have only free time now. Earth receives special personal training from the Demon King just to get back at his parents and the world. Earth has been called brilliant, but he did not have to be called the hero's second coming. Even though he is living the worst day of his life, the fact that he happened to meet this guy would, he still considers it a blessing. During a combat match, Earth tastes the mud as the girl on top of him points her sword towards him. From the pleasantries of the crowd, we are informed that the girl is Princess Fiancé, the daughter of Solya, one of the 7 heroes. Despite looking as cold as ice, Fiancé gives some pointers to Earth. She even says that he has improved since their last match, but he has yet to master the sword magic. Earth bites back by admitting that he has totally lost face in front of the esteemed princess, but Fiancé says that everyone is equal in this academy, not to mention that they are childhood friends, so addressing her with the honorifics is rude, so he should drop it. Just as we are thinking that she is one nice lady, Fiancé drops that even though they are so close to graduation, Earth has not managed to beat her even once. She also nags that he is going to join the knights and protect the royal palace after leaving the academy, but to be defeated by the princess would not do him any good. You might be wondering just how good she is to scold him like that, but the truth is, Fiancé de Partia is the imperial princess of the nation, and since her enrollment in the academy, Earth has never managed to snatch the first place from her, be it martial arts or academics. The great princess continues to nag, but Earth has his ears closed to her and open to the girls gossiping behind him. They are actually impressed by his strength and good looks, but the nagging princess is not having any of it. She skips to the girls in an instant and drops all kinds of trash on Earth's character, looking absolutely desperate. The girls are convinced and tell her to relax because they never consider Earth as a potential boyfriend. Now there is another reason for Earth to hate her because she does it every single time. This behavior might point towards something, but the ever-oblivious male lead thinks that Fiancé definitely hates him because every time he gets good vibes from a girl, this princess blows. However, Earth is not much angry as he already has his heart set on someone. When Fiancé notices that Earth is taking his leave, she panics and steps on a landmine as she reminds him that his father, the hero, would be disappointed in him if things remained like this. Inside the academy building, the students are loitering around like normal youngsters, but the guards do not like their carefree attitude even if they have achieved peace. They come across Earth, who is still practicing in his break time like a diligent student, but the unpleasant guards gossip about him for coming in second place. Earth is able to hear them talk trash and thinks about the fact that there were 7 heroes, 7 great men who saved the mankind from the great demon king, and his father was one of them. However, as the son of the great hero, his abilities are wanting, always coming in second place to the princess, whether in sword or in the classroom. One of the trashy guards says that the children of the other heroes have magnificent talent, but the other says that those kids are just prodigies. Earth has heard enough of their trash talk, so he tells them that he is sorry for showing a pitiful sight in front of the imperial knights such as them. However, the fools cannot decipher the sarcasm and say that he should not stay idle when his father defeated the Demon King when he was merely 18. They further say that Earth would be trained reliably when he joined the Imperial Knights after graduating from the academy. A voice behind them agrees with the guards and even says to take care of his dumb son. The one to arrive is none other than the hero, Earth's father. Earth is surprised to see him because his father is always busy. If you think his father was any better than the guards, you are wrong. His father also rubs salt on his wounds when he mentions that Earth lost to Fiancé. He admits that he used to lose to Fiancé's dad, Solya, time and time again, but Earth's opponent is a girl. The dumb hero goes on to say that he was immediately drafted into battle together with Earth's mother as an academy student. Earth has heard enough and suggests that if his father were to see his sword training from scratch, he would be able to defeat Princess Fiancé. However, the sorry excuse of a father simply says that he is too busy with his work, so Earth should just follow the academy's sword instructor and Sadith since she holds an advanced knight certificate. Earth's father has not contributed anything since the start. Earth taught himself everything from academics to sword techniques, and yet they place expectations on him. He has trained all this time to meet those expectations, to beat his monster. Despite everything, his father has the audacity to tell him that he is the type that grows slowly, so he needs to be patient. This was the tripping point for Earth as he asked what he meant by the type that grows slowly, when he is the one who never paid any attention to his son. Earth asks that he is working hard already, and there are others who are easygoing, so how does that make him the impatient one? He can just be content with the second place, so he must be first? Earth gets that his father is trying to console him because he is feeling down, but he is already doing his best, so he could use a little praise from his father. Earth leaves the spot because he does not want his pity. He throws a tantrum and clamors to be noticed. Earth gets home and meets mommy, maid. She knows that the classes are in session in the academy, so she tells him to turn around and go back. She is Earth's personal maid, Sadith. She was a war orphan before he was born, so his mother gladly took her in. Rather than a maid, she is like a distant older sister. She is a beauty with a twisted personality, and Earth so want her to be his bride. Earth says that he had a headache, so he left the academy early. However, Sadith says that he has the mental fortitude of a slime and easily guesses that he has lost to the princess this time as well. Even Sadith says that she expected that it would be too much for him, but Earth says that it was not particularly favorable. With his grades, he is a shoo-in for the Imperial Knights with room to spare, and that is what his father and everyone expect anyway. Sadith connects the dots that Earth is sulking because he met his father earlier, but she steps on another landmine without knowing as Earth sarcastically thanks her for the kind words. He is just fed up with being called the son of a hero, and everyone has expectations of him at their own convenience. On top of that, he always disappoints them. Sadith feels worried for him as she tells him that it is true that a lot of expectations have been placed on him to an unreasonable degree. It is a well-known fact that the hero who overthrew that demon king faced a lot of difficulty during his time at the academy. Unlike Earth, who has amassed excellent results in the academy, so everyone cannot help but want to observe the dazzling growth of this young man. Sadith says that their hopes are akin to warm-hearted dreams, so it is a tribute to how precious he is to everyone. Earth blushes a bit because when the usually mean and twisted Sadith shows her caring side, it looks crafty. However, she is the one who supports him like this when he is feeling down, and that is the reason that he has fallen in love with her. Earth jumps when Sadith says that if he does his best, she can prepare a secret reward for him. However, he feels disappointed when she mentions that the reward could be a favorite omelet meal from his childhood. She teases him when she asks what this young adolescent boy assumed the reward would be. Earth barks out "shut up" as he knows that Sadith is purposefully teasing him because she is aware of his feelings for her. To lighten his mood, Sadith tells him that it is the time for the annual cleaning of the sealed room. Once they enter the chamber, Sadith hands over the keys as she still need to go back for more cleaning supplies and allows Earth to look around. She advises him to enjoy the Sword of Legend exhibition and loot it if his luck is good. The last part, of course, was a tease, but Earth still makes it clear that he is not going to steal it. He takes the keys and heads toward a giant door covered in heavy chains. Before Earth was born, a great war occurred in these lands. On one side, the demon race and the leader of the demon army facing his father's side with the 7 heroes leading humanity. In the end, humanity triumphed over the demon army, and the demon king was slain thanks to his father's sword. That sword was placed on a sealed pedestal behind this door. As a kid, Earth's heart raced every time he saw it, but he is not that little kid anymore, so he thinks that it would not induce much emotions in him. Thinking that, Earth unlocks all the locks and chains and pushes open the heavy door. However, what he finds next is beyond just a surprise. A man with horns seems to be floating in the middle of the room and comments that it has been a year since the door opened. Earth is shocked out of his wits, but the man keeps talking to himself that this is the 15th time that gate opened, so it has been 15 years now. While Earth is busy observing the entity and the horns on his head, the demon is also busy commenting that it is not the maid this time but the hero's offspring. The demon can recognize the similarity to that odious visage without seeing it. Earth, on the other hand, had enough of the observing and finally shouts as he demands who the intruder is and how he got inside. The demon is shocked that someone can see him, but Earth is too shocked to register anything he says. At the same time, Sadith enters the room since Earth is being too noisy, and she asks if he really tried to take the sword. However, Earth is in no mood to go along with her teasing and points toward the weird guy in the room. Sadith says that there is no one else and wonders if messing with his virginity made him see illusions. She asks if he is pulling a prank to scare her out of her wits and adds that it is a weak plan as she leaves to draw some water. The demon is intrigued that the only one who can view him in this form is this child, but the said child takes the broom and starts swinging it at the demon. The demon immediately recognizes the magic sword technique but says that he is far too off as compared to Hero's magic sword. Earth charges at him angrily, but the demon says that it is pointless as he easily dodges the lame attack and adds that his assault is for naught because he possesses a spiritual body right now. Earth does not understand, but the demon decides to take the trouble to introduce himself, since it has been a long time since he last conversed with someone. The demon dramatically says that his name is Trainar, one who was vanquished by Earth's father, the Great Demon King. There is nobody in this world who does not know the name of the Great Demon King Trainar, the Demon King that was defeated by Earth's father's party, whose name is only spoken about in the textbooks. So there is no way Earth could have met such a person, so he concludes that it must be a strange dream. He wakes up upon hearing Sadith's panicked voice, and as soon as he opens his eyes, she takes him in a warm embrace. Earth is obviously flustered and is surprised to find that he is back in his room. Sadith explains that when she returned from fetching water, she found him unconscious in front of the pedestal. Sadith sees that Earth is okay now, and another voice agrees that he is just a little lightheaded. Earth looks at the source of the voice and finds the Demon King floating on top of his head. Earth is shocked, but Sadith once again tells him that there is nothing there, and she would not get caught playing the Great Demon King with a playful little boy. Earth tries to stop her, but she leaves to prepare dinner. The Demon King once again tells him that Earth is the only one who can hear his voice. Earth wants to confirm if he really is the Great Demon King Trainar, so the Demon King smugly admits he is correct. Earth decides to believe for the time being that he really is Trainar and asks why the Great Demon King is their armory. Trainar explains that he was defeated by the hero and his spirit has been trapped in that sword since then, but hero stole the sword away without knowing this, and thanks to that, Trainar has been trapped in that sealed room for the past 15 years. He further says that for some reason, only Earth can see and hear him, and it would seem he is bound to Earth as well. Earth does not like the news that he is being haunted by the ghost of the Great Demon King, but Trainar can read him like an open book and can see the troubled expression on his face. However, Trainar explains that unfortunately he has a spiritual body, and as such cannot interact with this world, and no matter how much he tried, he could not separate himself from Earth. It is a pity that Trainar got tired of being imprisoned, so he orders Earth to take him to the outside world. However, Earth flatly refused to escort the Great Demon King to the outside world. Hearing this, Trainar gets infuriated, claiming that he is the omnipotent and overwhelmingly powerful, the Great Demon King, so Earth shall obey him and bow down in front of him. Earth is no fool and immediately points out that Trainar just said that he could not interact with this world. The great and omnipotent Demon King pouts in protest, so Earth reminds him that he cannot pout like that since he did this to himself. Moreover, Earth cannot go out tonight anyway, so the Demon King should stop making that pouty face. But the said Demon King invades his personal space so much that Earth is terrified as it is a spiritual body, and he cannot push it away. In the end, Earth has no choice but to agree to take him out, albeit for only a quick walk around the city. However, their venture is cut short when Sadith arrives with the dinner, and upon finding out that Earth is going out to play, she throws knives at him in ninja style, without hurting Earth, of course. Even the Demon King is impressed by her skills and wonders if she really is just a maid. On the other hand, Earth is shaking under the intense gaze of his personal maid as she admits that she was initially going to pamper him today because he seemed depressed after being beaten by the princess and getting into a fight with his father. So, for a change, she brought him to clean his father's sword, which he loved so much as a child, but then he fainted, so she was going to pamper him with a meal and a personal bath. Earth gets strangely excited and wants to be pampered, claiming that he is really sick, But Sadith is not one to be cajoled easily, and not when she just found out that he is healthy enough to go to town. She becomes menacing as she remembers that Earth skipped afternoon classes, so there needs to be a punishment. Both the Demon King and Earth feel terrified of the punishment, and the rest is best kept behind curtains. The next day, Earth is on his way to school, despite being exhausted after last night. Sadith finally lets him go, but the real problem is the demon haunting him, who is currently acting like a super excited kid on a field trip. He asks about the lamp and the streetcar, both of which are powered by magic. The great Demon King is intrigued by the advancement of the humans, which is entirely different from the demons. Earth comments that he is acting like a child, but still asks what he thinks of the town based on what he has seen so far. Traynor says that if he is being honest, the human society has developed and has all but forgotten the crisis they faced before. All around, there are these deplorable scenes. The state of these people wants him to cover his eyes as their enemy. If he were still alive, he would absolutely destroy everything. The last part sends a shiver down Earth's spine, but Traynor says that despite how he feels, it does not matter, because this is the peace gained from his defeat. A city created by human inventions and ingenuity. The world around him is the reality. He lost, so there is nothing he can do now. However, if he could, he would destroy it all tomorrow. Earth finds it strange because the Demon King in the textbook was a vicious, bloodthirsty tyrant, but the man before him has much broader views. He watches over the city, knowing that there is nothing he can do. His back looks almost lonely, but Earth cannot bring himself to say that. Traynor continues to say that he does have one regret about the hero's party. When the party came to attack him, they claimed that the power of all the people of this world was in that sword. The Demon King was shocked to hear that, and even tried to tell them that it would take his life for real, but he was attacked nevertheless. So now, he is super pissed that those 7 heroes gathered the power of every human just to destroy him. He throws a tantrum asking what happened to the one-on-one battle and why did they all attack at once. Earth asks about his own army and his allies, but the Demon King goes quiet and tells him to ask no more. Earth wonders if he struck a nerve, but the Demon King is back to being a child when something catches his eye. The thing that has him fangirling is the Destiny Stay Night sequel. Traynor urges Earth to buy it, but he does not want to. Traynor says that he has been following this series since he was alive and threatens to mumble in his ear all day if Earth does not purchase this book. The threat actually works, and Earth has to buy it in a hurry lest he be late, but Traynor thinks it is a worthy cause. He also reminds Earth that he does not need to speak aloud since Traynor can hear his inner voice. In the classroom, Traynor asks Earth about a girl, so he explains that she is the princess, Her Majesty, Princess Fiancée, daughter of His Majesty, the hero Solja. The Demon King is surprised that the spear-wielding hero has a daughter and comments that she must be quite intelligent for her to completely comprehend such an elementary task. Not to mention she has an incredible magical aura surrounding her such that even the smallest move of her pen is precise, so she must be incredibly skilled in martial arts as well. Earth feels dejected, thinking that even the great Demon King can tell how amazing the princess is. Traynor notices something, but before he can say something, Earth is hit by the hard corner of a book. The one to do is of course his teacher, who says that Earth is quite brave not to pay attention in his class. He even announces that Earth has been staring at Fiancée for quite some time. The whole class laughs and cheers at his expense, but Fiancée blushes hard. Ignoring the commotion, the teacher asks him a question as a punishment. The question goes as follows: name the 3 major eyes that exist in the world. Furthermore, name the magic eye that the Demon King Traynor possessed and their associated abilities. Even Earth is surprised that the question is that long, but the teacher says that he should know this if he has been paying attention. This is bad since Earth really was not paying attention, but he knows all the names and the abilities, so he starts with answering Traynor's demon eye, but the Demon King himself interrupts him saying that it is a ruse. He claims that the fact that he has the Herald Eye is misinformation. The truth is that the eyes he possesses is the hidden and strongest of them all, the 6-gate eye. Earth answers on an impulse and shocks everyone, including himself. The teacher gets angry at the wrong answer, but Traynor defends himself that he does not know the historical facts, but he has the six-gate eye, and he made it clear during the final battle. The teacher punishes Earth by ordering him to stay after school, so Earth blames it all on Traynor, who does not admit his mistake, and puts the blame on the teacher for being inaccurate. The teacher then rubs a sore point when he reminds Earth that he is the son of the hero and meant to be a top performer, so he better not screw around like this in his match. At dusk, Earth heads home while blaming Traynor that it was most certainly his fault. Traynor asks about the match that his imbecile of a teacher was talking, so Earth explains that he was talking about the graduation match, which is the Academy's biggest event of the year. Top performers fight in a tournament to display their skills and abilities to the king and nobles. In other words, it is the scouting grounds for various warrior organizations, and Earth is participating due to his grades. Traynor reminds him that he was told to take it seriously by that idiotic teacher and asks if he has prepared anything. Earth admits that he is just preparing himself for the embarrassment. Traynor seems unbothered by his answer and asks about Princess Fiancé instead. He can hear Earth's thoughts and his envy for her is palpable. He further accounts Earth's thoughts that he feels that he cannot win against that girl, and that no matter what, he is just an embarrassment when compared to his father. Traynor further says that Earth wants to get back at the world. However, he resigned himself, convinced that it was not feasible. Traynor says that Earth is no different from the genius stuck in the wall who gave up on getting out once he realized his weakness. At this point, Earth roars him anger, saying that Traynor does not know anything about him. He practiced his swordsmanship and studied intensely. He began feeling frustrated with his constant trial and error, never improving, all while trying to meet the expectations of those around him. Traynor remains unimpressed and calls this a feeble argument. He says that Earth's father hero is a fool who stumbled his way through more and more miracles. That is where Earth cannot surpass his father. Earth is infuriated to hear that, thinking that Traynor is the same as the rest of those who look down on him. In response, Earth bites back that the great demon king also lost. If he cannot surpass his father, then Traynor is the one who lost to that very man, and then cried about it not being a one-on-one. Traynor repeats that he would have been victorious if that was the case. Earth says that these are just excuses. All that comes out of his mouth are excuses, so he cannot lecture Earth about strength. The Demon King had enough of his debate, so he shows his true power as he tells Earth to not talk to him like that. Earth scums under the domineering power of the Demon King, who is bent on proving just how powerful he actually is. He says that he is more powerful than the brave hero, but Earth interrupts him by asking how he is going to achieve this feat with a spiritual body. The Great Demon King says that he is going to use Earth and teach him the power that the Great Demon King holds. He further says that the whole world will once again witness his supreme power. Traynor is super excited and says that the match has yet to happen, so he wants to begin with testing Earth's overall ability. However, Earth's like, nah. Traynor asks why he is so unwilling, so Earth tells him that it is such a pain and they only have 2 months before the match, and it is obvious that the princess will take first place, and that fact would not change in just 2 months. The Demon King tells him that it is only a matter of how he perceives it, since fresh hatchlings like him are easy to grow in the starting. However, Earth still thinks that it is not an issue of struggle to grow. He has been working on academic training and independent training, and even asked Sadith, who has an advanced knight certificate, to train him. However, that prodigy always dismantles all his efforts, and so he always ends up as a disappointment of a hero's so. Just like that, he slowly began to feel that it is all just ridiculous. Traynor notices that Earth lacks proper motivation and comments that it tends to happen when one does not know their own purpose. He asks what are Earth's future goals, but gets a reply that he is going to become an Imperial Knight. Traynor questions if he decided that for himself, or was it a decision made by someone else. Earth is shocked to hear that, but Traynor continues and say that if he cannot find a clear purpose, he cannot expect to be motivated. Earth ponders on the subject that if he became an Imperial Knight, things would be okay for a while, but he does not want to be some special warrior. Everyone wants him to follow the same path as his father, but he questions if that is really his purpose. After all, he is his own person but does not know what he wants. Traynor, who can hear his thoughts, sighs and suggests to set a goal that is closer to the present and decides to win the match in 2 months, his purpose. Earth thinks that it is too soon, but Traynor is pondering on the fact that he still needs to find something to motivate him for the next 2 months. He even says that rather than abstract and pure ideas of peace and justice, an impure motivation may be better for him. The next morning, Traynor flops a ladder on the ground, and when Earth asks, he tells him that this is named the ladder training and it increases one's stamina and agility. Traynor says that after this training, he will learn the ultimate step technique, the magical step. Earth thinks that it is a lame name, which causes the great demon king to pout. Moving forward, Traynor decides to show an example, while Earth hesitates to follow along since it is a training from the demon king who once shook the world. Traynor, on the other hand, displays an example in such a comical way that Earth is utterly speechless. Traynor tells him each step to align his feet and stand in front, then jump straight forward without hitting the rungs of the ladder and accomplish a straight jump. Earth is confused by this training at first, but then after seeing his black clothes and jumps, the only picture that forms in his head is a Traynor roach. Being able to hear his thoughts, Traynor glares at him, but Earth apologizes instantly and thinks to not think stuff like this. Traynor proceeds with the training and shows the next step, this time jumping side to side whilst keeping his feet together, much like a zigzag. This time, Earth laughs as a wriggling Traynor shrimp forms in his head, at which he receives a death glare. Traynor continues to demonstrate and this time tells him to alternate between jumping to one foot, then to both feet, just like Kenkenpa. This time, Earth's imagination takes a step ahead, and he imagines a couple of kids playing Kenkenpa on the streets, and one of the not-so-kid is Traynor. The Demon King finally loses it and asks if Earth wishes to be slain. He shouts like a nagging mother and tells him about the importance of this training while asking him to perform all those steps with casting the magic attribute at the same time. Earth thinks that all he has to do is jump and use magic, but the actual thing is harder than it looks. Earth cannot move his body like he wants it to, but the Demon King only laughs as he explains that this ladder training trains one's footwork and improves athletic ability, like turning on your heel. In addition, these steps are carried out quickly, thus training your agility. He further explains that by specifying magical attributes, he will be able to use magic while moving. His earlier error was that he was focusing only on the stepping. For example, he cannot write a sentence while having a conversation. In musical terms, it is like being sung over by another louder melody. In battle, it is common for your body to be unable to keep up with your mind. Conquer that, and you will be able to move your body in sync with your mind. Earth finally understands, because it is true that it is hard to react to the speed of Princess Fiancée's sword. By the time he thinks about reacting, it is already too late. Traynor asks him to go back to training and urges him to reply with "yes sir" from now on. Earth obliges and trains under his commands. By the end of the training, Earth was panting hard as his legs would not stop trembling and his head was spinning. Traynor cheerfully tells him that if he gets this tired now, he will not be able to win because he is experiencing the magic ladder training that the Demon King himself invented. Earth thinks that his training names are amazingly lame as usual, but if he is in this condition after only that, Earth is in worse condition than he thought. Traynor tells him to do this ladder training as a daily warm-up, and after this, they will work on physical techniques. Earth is surprised to hear that and asks when they will work on his swordsmanship. His father, Hero, uses the magic sword, so he also trained it as an imitation of that, but Traynor says that they will not work on the swordsmanship because, frankly speaking, Earth has no talent for that. When he first met Earth, he quickly realized that his fighting style did not suit him. Hero's magic sword is a concentrated one-target ability that utilizes intense magical power. It is only possible to do when a person possesses extraordinary magical ability, but Earth does not possess such ability. Earth lands on hips because he cannot take the damage caused by the fact that he has been practicing swordsmanship since he was a child every single day. That is almost 15 years, but all of his work of these past years is now wasted. However, Traynor continues and says that he has been observing Earth for the past few days. He shares that Earth has a strong point that his father does not have, and that is flexibility, so he most likely resembles another of the 7 heroes, his mother, the priestess Mamu. So, his talents do not lie with the magic sword, but instead with the physical technique. And by that, Aerith can grow by focusing on his own individual talents, and he will even be able to defeat his father. After hearing that, Aerith laughs hysterically as he says that everyone will be surprised to find that the son of the hero does not use a sword. Traynor asks if he dislikes the idea, but Aerith says that it would be exciting to show them all. He asks Traynor to guide him down his own path. Traynor simply smiles, but then Sadith enters the scene and asks who he is talking to. Aerith is surprised to find her, but Sadith asks if Youngsir has finally gotten so lonely that he has made an imaginary friend. She notices the latter and finally knows the reason Aerith's bag was so large when he got home. She observes the latter and asks if he came up with this training method himself. Aerith panics and admits that this was an idea from his imaginary friend. Sadith looks confused, but Aerith wonders if she immediately figured out the purpose of this ridiculous training. He asks about her purpose in coming her, so she takes out a paper from her bosom and tells him that she got the menu he asked for. Aerith blushingly thanks her as he wonders why she kept the paper in such a place. Traynor looks over the menu with Aerith and comments that the menu is quite rich. Aerith says that Sadith makes all kinds of delicious food, but Traynor tells him that he did not mean that. He explains that it seems like she understands the nutritional value of the food and changes the menu so he receives proper variety. Just from looking at this menu, Traynor can tell that she cares a lot about Aerith's health. Sadith lost her family during the war with the Demon King. Aerith's mother protected her when she was about to lose her life, and they have lived together ever since then. In his childhood, Aerith was super excited that his parents were finally home and wanted to show them something, but the neglectful parents never listened to him as they were busy with dinners and stuff. When he was left behind, it was Sadith who paid attention to him and even praised him for getting the highest grades. She even celebrated with him with a nice homemade treat. Sadith was a replacement for his parents, who were never home. They may not be related by blood, but she is precious, even more so than a sister. The Demon King, who can hear everything going on inside of Aerith's head, suggests to tell Sadith about his feelings, so Aerith announces that he is going to win the match in 2 months, but stutters on what to say after that. The talk of the marriage may be too soon. A kiss can only be done after they start dating. A date with the intention to marry sounds good, so he goes with the request to let him touch her breasts. The awkwardness is so intense that it gets out of the screen, but then Aerith panics for obvious reasons. He instantly apologizes, knowing that these things should go in stages because Sadith is more pure than this. She is scarier can the Demon King, so Aerith prays apologies in a mantra until Sadith agrees. Yes, she agrees while saying that this request is utterly repulsive, but this scumbag of a Youngsir declared that he would win his match, so for a moment she was stunned. So she says that if the cretin of a boy can win his match, he can touch her breasts all day long, saying that she leaves, leaving a super powerful Aerith behind. He is now super excited to win the match. Traynor has nothing to say, as he did suggest Aerith's motivation should be impure, so he also agrees to win the match so that Aerith can get his bosom. At this time he was feeling great, but soon he would become the worst and lose Sadith. But right now, Traynor suggests that since they are through warming up, it is now time to fight the Demon King. Aerith goes beast mood once again, albeit just in appearance. The Demon King explains that shadowing and sparring are standard techniques for physical training. Shadowing is a technique where you imagine a potential enemy and repeatedly avoid attacks, while sparring is a mock battle between two individuals. This time your opponent will be an intangible apparition. So Traynor names these phantom sparring. Already used to these strange names, Aerith asks if they would be dueling in a mock battle, and finds it interesting when Traynor gives a positive response. Until now, he has only had mock battles at school. Furthermore, the opponent is either too weak or is a monstrous princess. The skill difference is too vast to be of any real use. Well, that is not exactly true because, honestly, there are other monstrous individuals. In any case, it is difficult to accurately gauge the ability in a closed environment like school. Thanks to that, he have no real practical experience. So Aerith thinks that it would simply be fun to fight with the real Demon King. Traynor says that he would not fly too much and fight in his usual manner during the fight, and he does not mind if Aerith uses his magic. However, Aerith is confused because he thinks that Traynor would have to pretend to hit him as he is just an apparition. The Demon King simply smiles and charges at him as he says that he can just do this with his powers. In the next millisecond, Aerith feels like his neck has been severed and he falls on his knees. Traynor asks if he just thought his neck has been pierced, but Aerith knows that Traynor cannot touch him, and he just imagines it all. Being dead by having his throat pierced was just his imagination. Even though he does not feel any pain, he cannot stop thinking about the feeling of death. Traynor asks if this is all he can handle and provokes him by calling him the son of the hero. The provocation works as Aerith launches himself at Traynor and starts punching the air. Traynor provokes him once again by calling him an impatient child, but Aerith is too angry right now. He decides to kick him while Traynor is focused on his fist, but the Demon King points 2 fingers at his eyes. Aerith stops, so he asks if he stopped his attack on the instinct that he will die with just one more step. Aerith leaps back and attacks with Kilo Thunder magic. Once he is sure that Traynor cannot see him, he launches Kilo Earthquack. However, once the debris settles, the Demon King is no longer at that location. He is actually behind Aerith, saying that just when he thought Aerith was attacking intelligently, he uses another straightforward attack. He explains that the earth magic is superior to thunder magic. It is simple and easy to read but more powerful than ordinary. Traynor says that he is going to have this serve as a lesson to first-hand witness the magnitude of power that the great Demon King possess. Princess Fiancé suddenly opens her eyes, contemplating that she must have fallen asleep, which makes sense after what happened earlier today. She had a very nostalgic dream from when she was younger, with little heroes who took her away to her dreams. A knock on the door calls her back to the reality, and a maid enters to deliver a letter for her. Aerith is panting hard, spread on the ground while the Demon King smirks at him while saying that it has been too much for Aerith. However, he also says that they will be like this on a daily basis, alongside the ladder training. Aerith contemplates that he could not even land a single hit. Traynor did not even use any special techniques, only regular physical techniques that humans can do. Beaten, gouged, and kicked, Aerith was continuously struck over and over again in his mind. Before this, he was somewhat proud of himself. Even if he was unable to beat the princess, he could still beat others, so he thought that he would be able to pass like that. He even went as far as to say that second place was not so bad, but now he realizes that he is so powerless. Traynor asks if he is despairing after seeing the limits of his abilities. However, Aerith replies that he just never realized how weak he truly is until today. As he sat there, frustrated with himself, a thought popped into his head, so he asked the Demon King if his father fought him in the past with the power of the other 6 heroes. But unlike Aerith, because if he fought Traynor for real, he had died. Aerith has already been pseudo-died multiple times by the ghost of the Demon King, so how in the world did his father manage to beat him up? Traynor says that Aerith really does not know anything about his father, but Aerith replies that his father has always been busy, and whenever they talk face to face, it turns into him lecturing Aerith and talking about his past. Traynor asks if he ever listens to the proud boasting that his father does, but Aerith remains silent. Traynor sighs and says that Hero is truly a detestable person from the outside, but the road to becoming a hero that defeated the great Demon King was not an easy one. How Hero became a hero is a story that Aerith should learn. Aerith is surprised because, to him, his father was always just a source of his complex, and he always heeded the talks of the previous generation. However, Traynor says that whether or not wisdom from older generations is helpful depends on if the listener cares. But now, Aerith wonders what adults went through in the past, so he also asks the Demon King to tell him about his past if he ever feels like it. He wanted to know how humanity managed to beat this great Demon King. On his way to school, Aerith's legs are feeling heavy, but Traynor says that spoiled rich kids are too weak because they could not even get to the phantom spells yesterday. Aerith is not happy that there is more to do, but someone calls his name, so he cannot complain about it. The one to call him is Princess Fiancé standing at a stall. She says that it is strange meeting him here like this, so Aerith points out that it is unusual because she goes by carriage normally. He asks if she is not with her escorts and looks at the empty cup in her hands. Fiancé panics and explains that she was told that the fruit juice from this stall is delicious. The cup is empty because she just finished drinking and definitely not because she has been waiting here all morning. Aerith does not press more on the matter, so she suggests to go to school together since they ran into each other. Aerith does not really mind, but the Demon King can tell that she was waiting here to ambush him. On their way, fiancé asks about his plans for the future, but Earth says that he has nothing special planned. She says that she has been thinking because, as he knows, the graduation matches are not just simple mock battles, as many citizens and important people from the surrounding countries will be there. In any case, since she is the princess, she will soon be announced as the next queen. She asks if Earth is aware of how she feels. Not understanding what she is talking about, Earth nonchalantly goes along with the conversation. He knows that as a princess, fiancé is expected to one day rule the country as a queen. Ever since they were kids, what they have aimed for has been different, and above all, she is different from him, whose motivation is Sadith's breasts. Fiancé hesitantly asks if he was really staring at her in the class, and when Earth admits it, she announces that she will win the graduation match and then publicly announces it to him and the citizens. Earth knows that he had normally tells her to do her best, but this time he tells her that he is going to be the one who wins. Yesterday's training helped him realize his true potential, so he wants to show his cool side off to Sadith and everyone else. He wants to know about his father's past, and to do this, he needs to win, so he clearly tells her that there is something that he cannot give up. Fiancé asks if this is his confession to her, and Earth asks if it is wrong if it is because there is no way he can let her find out his deal with Sadith. Fiancé blushes and tells him to let them fight wholeheartedly in their match. Traynor knows that they are not thinking of the same thing, but he stays silent on the matter because it is entertaining. As they reach school, the first thing they see is girls shrieking, but Earth looks out of calm because he had forgotten, or he was just trying not to think about the other barriers that stand in front of him. Seems like his two other barriers have returned. In their childhood, the little princess fiancé cannot concentrate on her studies, and when she hears someone call her from the outside, she runs, opens the window, and simply jumps. Her tutor comes grumbling but finds fiancé gently landing on a magic circle, so she turns towards her friends, Earth, Fu, and Rival. Yeah, these names could not get any more obvious. Anyways, the tutor keeps nagging that the princess needs to study right now, and if they are all going to play so much, she is going to report this to their fathers. However, Earth, Fu, and fiancé take their stance as Earth claims that fiancé is a neo-hero companion, and this is also considered studying. He even says that he will never hand her over to the likes of the great demon king Katekyushi. The tutor gets angry at being called a demon king and says that he cannot become a hero like his father if he keeps acting like this. However, Earth says that she is wrong since Fu is the best mage in the world. Rival is the best swordsman in the world, and fiancé is the best lancer in the world, so he will exceed his father and become the strongest hero in the world. Just then, Sadith asked the future hero to defeat the devil Sadith as well. Well, this is just a story from their childhood. Back then, he had no doubt that he would also have powers like his father because he was surrounded by friends, without knowing that a cruel reality was waiting for him. Traynor is curious about the new entries, so Earth accounts that they are the children of the 7 heroes, just like him and fiancé and his childhood friends. The big one is Rival Janaine, the son of the 7 heroes' master swordsman. His swordsmanship is better than the princess's, and he is no doubt the strongest person in the academy. The little one is Fu Madai, the son of the 7 heroes' great mage. He is by far the best magician in the academy. Fiancé says that they wrote a letter saying they would be coming back from studying abroad, but she did not think they would be back so soon. Traynor asks about studying abroad, so Earth tells him that it is customary that the first and the second place of each school year get to choose to study abroad, but since the princess declined, the second and the third place got to go. Traynor is surprised to find that Earth do not fall in second or third place, and teases him that his tantrum about being second was rounded up. Fu notices and calls out to Princess and Earth, so they head in his direction. Everyone bows in front of the princess, but she tells them to not be so polite since they are childhood friends. Fu says that Earth is the same as before, but Rival asks if he has at least gotten a little stronger. Earth turns his head as he indifferently answers, but fiancé says that Earth is a guy who always goes to lessons and mock battles. Earth does not feel good about her answering, but she has already changed the topic by asking them about the complications they had during their study abroad. Fu tells them that during the study abroad, a group of fire dragons suddenly flew in, so he and Rival both fight against them as a suppression unit. The suppression was successful, and they got a medal as a reward. Traynor says that even the children of the 7 heroes are incredibly different, but Earth does not like the fact that he said it while looking at him. The audience suddenly wants Fu to show them the power he gained from studying abroad, so he agrees after some very light pushes. He tells them not to expect too much, draws a huge magic circle, and blows a bit of fire that is too large to be a bit. The audience is speechless, and even Earth thinks that it is the scale of a megatier and wonders if Fu went all out. Fu watches the silent audience and asks if it is a disappointment after all, but they shout at him that it is amazing that they are in shock. Earth admits that the magic was amazing, but that sarcastic tone and unaware attitude pisses him off. However, Rival says that such an amount of magic is not surprising, and suddenly comes at Earth to tell him that they have been studying abroad for the past year and came back with absolute power. He even says that Earth will never be able to beat them at this point. Earth simply laughs at him for being cocky without showing his skill, so Rival does prove his skills and asks if it satisfies his curiosity. Rival says that it is a waste of effort to show off his skill to the academy-level people and announces that they came back to participate in the royal tournament and win. He says that they are the children of the 7 heroes, those who will inherit their father's generation and exceed them for all the countries to know, and he will dedicate his victory to someone special. Earth now thinks that he never stands a chance against all these people, but Princess Fiancé steps forward and says that she cannot let that go unchallenged. She admits that they have become stronger while studying abroad, but that does not mean that she did not accomplish anything, so she would not be giving up on this victory. Rival addresses her and says that it is true that she is strong, but he will not lose this time. He then goes on his knees to say that if he wins, he wants her to let him become a candidate for her hand in marriage. Earth is surprised at this development, but the rest of the audience is excited with this pairing. Fiancé tells Rival that she only thinks of him as a friend, but he says that he already knows who her heart is after and what kind of feelings she has. He knows from watching her up until now and throws a nasty glare at Earth, who is still oblivious. Rival wants Fiancé to give him a chance to be seen as a man. Earth sees that Rival is getting riled up and knows that if the son of the master swordsmanship and the princess get married, the world will not complain, so she wishes them all the best in his mind. However, Traynor thinks that Rival is pathetic and cannot stand a chance to win. Earth asks if he saw the magical power and the sword stopping just short of his eye and thinks that he could not possibly win against these guys. However, Traynor thinks otherwise. A besting of a fire dragon, the mega-tier magic competence, and a mere visit to another country for a year is nothing but a child's play. Traynor says that the offspring of the 7 heroes would be perplexed to hear how he vanquished the Dragon King of the underworld and claims that you would require Exa-class magic to accomplish this feat. Earth is shocked because he has never heard of such names before, but the Demon King says that 2 months with him is plenty to serve the knowledge worth 100 more years than a mere year abroad. He tells Earth to trust in him because he is the disciple of the great Demon King, so Earth steps forward and tells Rival to hold it with his excitement because he is the one who is going to win this tournament. Earth knows that he is taking a risk, but he remembers Traynor saying that he is going to give him guidance, as it is the price he must pay. He asks Earth to proclaim his goals so that he relinquishes all escape routes so that he can receive a sense of urgency to never fail. So he did as asked of him, and proclaimed it in front of everyone. Rival asks if it is the same for him, and he replies that there is something that he cannot give up on as well. The audience is excited to get Earth in this development as well, but Earth is shocked because he thought he would get the booing instead, as he could not read the mood. Fiancé is sitting on the side, blushing that Earth stopped Rival and wondering about the implications. Fu does not know which one to support because both are his childhood friends. Earth is never going to get used to this. During a class, Traynor has a problem with the low level of studying for the class for raising the Empire's most elite. Earth thinks that he is talking trash, but the Demon King is serious. He ponders on the use of writing such expressions on paper and solving them. He says that if you understand the proper system and how to execute it, all you need to do is substitute the numbers and perform automatic calculations. Earth does not understand, so Traynor thinks that it is better to show him than to explain by mouth, so he starts with acquiring new magic. To learn the magic, Earth must prepare a magic sigil, which he does so on the paper. The next step is to cast the spell Traynor teaches him, and voila! The mastering is complete. This is Traynor's own invention, the highest level of calculation magic. Earth notices his hand move, and the answer is already written. Earth does not know what the hell is going on, so Traynor tells him that for any formula referenced by the invoker, the incantation removes any reliance to spend time on calculations. He calls it Xcale. Besides this, Traynor also invented the auto-looking warper point and other stuff that is omitted for your sanity. Earth is impressed and thinks that if he were to use the in the graduation test, he had be a cinch. The teacher ahead asks Earth to write the answer on the board, and when Earth reaches up front, he can see it all now and the answer is flowing through his head. It is spinning out to him, so he writes it on the board in the protagonist style, leaving everyone speechless. Earth feels invincible because there is nothing he does not understand and heads to his seat proudly. The teacher behind him asks about his intermediate calculations and oopsies. The teacher snaps while asking if Earth cheated, while Traynor peacefully thinks that this sort of cunning deed is not suitable for the boy's world. His mistake. Earth has a very simple question and asks Traynor where they are. Traynor gives a simple answer that they are inside his head. Virtual reality illusion magic is a set of magic he created. It is a spell that forces the subject to sleep and allows the invoker to have them dream as they see fit. Dreams of conquest, dreams of beautiful women, anything you want to dream can be created with high realism. In other words, from now on, during these nonsensical lessons of academy, they can do more image training. Earth asks if this white place is his dream, and Traynor is also a part of his dream. However, Traynor's like, nah, I'm real. He explained that the reason they can converse is because their spirits are connected. Therefore, when he uses VR, he ends up in the same dream as Earth, and in this way he can also conjure anything he wants. Earth is a bit disappointed that they are in a dream together because he could have used this time to flirt with Sadith, though he thinks that he had want an erotic dream. However, the Demon King informs him that the VR cannot be created without the imagination and knowledge of the original invoker, and he does not think things like Earth does. Traynor also warns him that this spell can be created with such precision that it feels no different than reality and is highly addictive. According to a story he knows, due to this magic, a man could not return to reality and was rendered useless, as such their entire country plunged into chaos and was destroyed. Aside from that, Traynor normally cannot do anything with his spiritual power, but here he shews his magic, shocking Earth. He then explains that it is not magic, but the magical power radiating as magical energy, and he is merely moving it. Earth has never heard of magical power being moved around like this, but the Demon King says that it is just a small quantity of his ability, and taking it to his limits is his special move, the Great Devil Spiral Break. Earth cannot believe that he really called it something lame like that, and thinks that having spiral in the name 2 times is a bit redundant. He once again forgot that the Demon King could hear his thoughts and he had a spiral in his hands. Earth instantly apologizes and even sing him praises, but gets the taste of the spiral firsthand. Earth thinks that he is going to die, and Traynor agrees because his technique can turn things into mincemeat. He then materializes a chair, table, and a board and tells Earth to sit down instead of lying there. Earth does as he is told, so Traynor begins with making sure that they are on the same page. He starts explaining that the creatures such as demons and humans have reservoirs of magic within their body. From there, magic is released and activated. Thus, in this tank can exist magic holes whose quantity that is possessed greatly influences one's magical power. For example, if you were to make holes in a bag of water, the greater the number, the greater the amount of water that spills out. Similarly, if one has a few of these magic holes, mega class arts can only be cast on a small scale. However, those who have more magical holes will consume magic quicker, and it is perfectly fine as long as you cast while keeping magical consumption in mind. A child born into a family of great mages has more luck of becoming a great mage because they possess more magical holes. Earth ponders on this information and renders it true. Fu and fiancé likely have more magical holes than he does, but he thinks that it is all just about the innate talent. Traynor continues his lecture and tells him to simply increase the number of holes he possesses. The number of holes is not determined by who you are, but rather by how many are closed up. Earth's potential can be awakened by opening these closed magical holes. Earth stands up from the shock that there is a way to do that, and Traynor smugly says that he has strengthened a great number of soldiers with this alternative method. Earth asks how this works, so Traynor tells him that it works with acupuncture. So the next time we see him, Earth has a set of needles in front of him, and he asks if he really has to stick this into himself. Trainar gives the obvious answer, but he asks if it is really okay for him to be doing this to himself. Trainar assures him that there is no problem at all since he has been practicing it all during his day off. Furthermore, with Trainar's sixth vision, he can sense the position of the dormant magical holes, so he will guide it and there will be no problem. Earth asks if it would hurt, so Trainar tells him that it might hurt a bit when he tries it between his nail and the flesh. Earth does not want to hear any more, so Trainar tells him to calm himself as he only has to open one magical hole today. Earth motivates himself by reminding himself that he is up against a monster who can use insane levels of magic, so he should be able to handle a little pain. He starts with the procedure while Trainar guides him about the position. Once the accurate location is located, Earth stabs the little needle into his wrist, but feels like having needles driven into his entire arm, or as if he is being stabbed with a heated knife all over his body. Trainar says that this amount is not painful and tells him to not get the idea that gaining magical power will be easy. Sadith enters the room because of all the commotion and finds Earth passed out on the ground. Once Trainar wakes up, he finds Trainar by his side and asks what happened. Trainar explains that he could not bear the pain of opening a magical hole and fainted, and that is when the girl found her. Earth sees that Sadith is sleeping by his bedside, so he feels touched that she has been taking care of him all this time. He feels guilty to worry her once again, but all that vanishes when his gaze moves a bit down. Earth immediately turns his face because he should not see that when she took take of him, but he cannot help but want to take a peek as a man. However, before he can do so, Sadith opens her eyes, commenting that he looks desperate. Earth is surprised that she has been up this entire time, but Sadith calls him deplorable for looking up the skirt of a woman who has worked so hard to take care of him. However, she comes closer to him in a suggestive manner, but before she can do anything, Earth's mother kicks the door and rushes in to use restoration magic for her baby. However, when she calms down, she sees the two of them in a suspicious position and asks what they are doing. Sadith still teases him and calls him shameful. Earth's father grabs him for doing something to Sadith while they are away, while his mother shakes a smiling Sadith, saying that she can find someone more suitable for her. Sadith admits that she was just teasing him. Trainar, on the other hand, is amused to see this lineup. The 7 heroes Hero Reagan and the 7 heroes War Maiden Mamu Reagan. He comments that her appearance has not changed one bit, but Earth thinks that she looks 30. He receives a slap on the face from his mother, and when he asks the reason, she says that he thought something rude just now. Earth asks that they are supposed to be at work, but his parents say that they came back in a hurry when they heard he was out and was not getting up. Earth tells them that he is starting to get hungry after all this, so Sadith suggests to make dinner so they can eat. Mamu likes the idea and decides to help out as well. Sadith takes up the offer because it has been a while since they cooked together. Earth and Hero are left alone with each other, and the awkwardness is making them suffer. Earth thinks that he cannot possibly have a decent conversation with his father after all that, but Trainar reminds him that there is something he wanted to ask his father earlier. Earth remembers that he wants to know about his father's past, so he gathers the courage to ask him about the reason he became an Imperial Knight. Hero is surprised by the suddenness of the question, but Earth says that it is about time he decided on a course, so it just occurred to him. Earth internally thinks that he played that off well, and it seems he did because his father ponders on the question and tells him that he wanted to protect his friends and family, but originally his mother and hometown were almost destroyed by monsters. The livestock and the fields were devastated, and many of his neighbors and their families were almost eaten alive. It would have been his fate as well if that person had not been there. They easily defeated a swarm of monsters and left without saying a works and looked super cool walking away. Hero wanted to become an ally of justice like that. However, right now he calls it too simple and just a childhood dream. Earth now knows of his father's origin. It may have been a simple childish dream, but he followed through with it and protected this peace. Earth, too, has a small goal, so he shares it with his family. He says that he is going to try to win the graduation match. Everyone is surprised that he said that he is going to win. Earth feels touched until he hears his father say that he is happy with his fighting spirit alone, so Earth should not have any regrets about losing, because they will be glad that he tired. They tell him to not be discouraged if he fails, but Earth can see that they are talking like he is going to lose. Even though he is desperately trying to win, that is all they see, even though he has not stopped trying all this time. Sadith is the only one who notices him quite, but Earth says that he is not feeling too well, and leaves. Traynor watches him, depressed, and asks if it is okay to leave when it is not every day that he gets to have a family meal. Earth shouts and asks him to make him stronger, saying that he is willing to do acupuncture or whatever because he wants to prove to everyone that he can win, not just saying it, but actually doing it. Traynor agrees, but says that today and tomorrow is a holiday from training because excessive training is counterproductive and the burden of opening a magical hole is also quite heavy. And above all, tomorrow is also a day that you know what arrives at that place, Traynor's favorite book. Traynor is bent on spending the day on reading, so it is pretty much set in stone. That day was the worst day of Sadith's life. Even so, she was allowed to hold the baby, and she was glad to have met this child. At the market, the great demon king is super excited because he had given up on the sequel to Destiny's Stay Night, yet here he is, able to read it. It is the novel that Traynor had talked about yesterday, and Earth ended up buying a ton of sequels that came out after his death. He never thought that he had to rent a cart to carry them all. The super excited Traynor even finds a park nearby to read it immediately. Earth obliges and takes them to a bench in the park. Now that the whole volume has been acquired, Traynor plans to read them all the way through. Earth questions his opposition of the human culture, the very race that spirited him away. But the Demo King says that culture has nothing to do with race. He defends his point by saying that there is simply a gap in human development as accepting influential technology is the key to growth. Earth accepts his reason, so the Demon King asks the child to turn pages for him and then tell him what he thinks. Earth has no choice but to do what he says and starts reading, but Traynor asks how long it takes him to read a page and urges him to turn the pages faster. Earth is shocked by his version of fast because it has been only 30 seconds since he started reading. The Demon King claims that he has already read the same page 5 times over, which is too fast for Earth, so he suggests turning the pages at Traynor's pace and opts out of reading himself. However, Traynor cannot allow that, because Earth has the very important job of discussing it with him after reading it through. Earth thinks that it is a pain, so the Demon King sighs and decides to teach him speed reading, since it has come to this. Earth is sure that he cannot read that fast, but Traynor says that what he needs is the visual acuity. Earth imagines a gloomy rival, but Traynor says that he did not mean it like that. He explains that the visual acuity described here would be dynamic visual acuity and peripheral vision. Dynamic visual acuity is the power to follow moving objects with the eyes. What determines the superiority is the muscle strength that powers the eyes at which the eye moves. Earth questions the point of mastering such a limited ability, but Traynor tells him that it is not limited, as dynamic visual acuity is the ability to follow moving objects with one's eyes. In other words, applying it allows you to avoid countless attacks. Earth ponders its use in battle, but Traynor asks him to gaze upon the idiotic couple to understand the use of peripheral vision. Earth just wishes that he could perish that couple with his glare, but the Demon King does not know such a technique. He asks him to return his gaze back and asks about the color of the bench, the number of people in front of the couple, and the number of plants growing beyond them. Earth admits that he did not notice any of it, and Traynor expected that much. He explains that the peripheral vision is the ability to capture all that lies before you. If you focus on one point, your vision will narrow and the rest will be neglected. Fists and sword tips are not the only thing you see in battle. If you gaze upon your opponent as parts to the whole, preliminary movements can be followed and an initiative can be taken. In this way, eyesight can be trained and special skills can be acquired. That is called kanon nikon. Earth finally remembers that even if the training this guy does look ridiculous at first glance, there is solid evidence that it works. When combined with ladder training, his reflexes and agility are getting better so he can better hold his own. What Traynor says makes perfect sense, so Earth apologizes for making fun of him and seeks his guidance. Traynor gladly tells him that today's goal is to finish the book by the end of the day, and the bickering starts. Sadith's mother looks for her while she is hiding, but when she peeks out of an alley, her mother chases after her. Sadith does not remember much, but she lived in a peaceful city with her mother and father. She remembers thinking that she was happy when she was young. She still questions to this day about what was in that city that such a thing had to happen. At Shizonotami underground facility, the Demon King reads through the papers as he says that this is the ancient magic that rests within this city, the forbidden arts that can destroy even continents. He says that humans have no idea how dangerous this art is. But the barely alive man says that this is the last hope of defeating the Demon King before he is grabbed by a black-cloaked man who says that he is telling lies. He further says that they were planning on using it as a weapon of aggression, and the man was going to use it on their army by selling it to the Empire. He also claims about the records of secret meetings, but Traynor says that he has no use for this forbidden art. Normally, he would have taken it as provision for his army, but this art is way too powerful, so he apologizes for having to eradicate this art and the man who is the key. And so, the little Sadith watches the Demon King Devil Spiral destroy her precious city and life. She returns with a start and finds herself doing chores. Even though it has been so many years, just a little bit of absent-mindedness makes her remember that day. She can barely walk right now and hurries to her room, which is filled with Earth's pictures. The Sayut, young Earth's figure, is enough to stain a roughened heart. Sadith is not a maid of the Reagan family. Her hometown was destroyed by the Demon King's army, and Mamu saved her when she was about to be eliminated as well. Sadith was originally going to be institutionalized, but Mamu raised her like a sister. Mamu was a sister who she loved. She was a little sad when she got married to Hiro, but he also accepted her as an adopted child. And after a while, when Earth was born, they allowed her to hold him as well. Earth is a cute brother not related by blood. She was brought into a new life after losing her family, and she wanted it to stay that way forever. This room is full of memories, like the ribbon of the bouquet that she received when she graduated. Earth's troubled face on thinking that she would leave was so precious. She wants to tease him, even if she knows that it is wrong to bother him. She wants to see his cute side because, to her, Earth is her young sir. A memory of his childhood makes Sadith come to her senses. She knows that it is not good since Earth is the opponent of Princess Fiancé, and the people around them are aware of it. If all goes well, the children of the 7 heroes will all marry each other. This is the same as when Mamu got married, so Sadith would see them off like the rest of the society. It is just that Earth pushes against the norms, and she just wants him to give him that look again. However, she knows that she can never tell all this to Earth. As she is watering the plants, Earth enters through the gate. She welcomes him home and comments on his purchase. She also notices his twitching eyes and wonders if something happened during shopping, but a gust of wind makes her skirt fly upwards. She worries about such a scandalous view for Earth, but he leaps and catches the cloth that flew off. He hands it over to Sadith and leaves while saying that he is going to be reading a book until dinner, so she can let him know when dinner is ready. Sadith is surprised because he is a boy. He should look at panties like one, but she took off for a scarf like such a gentleman. She realizes that something changed in him without her realizing it. On the other hand, the manly Earth thinks that the ability to see all that is before him is a useful ability, but the Demo King says that this is not a power used to see up a girl's skirt. On the inside, the Demo King is intrigued that he was able to learn this ability so easily and thinks that he is not as much of a dropout as others make him out to be. This is unexpected, and Earth may be able to learn the great demonic evolution breakthrough quickly, the best chance of winning the championship in 49 days. Earth is standing outside his house building, looking at his hand and the magical powers in it. Traynor comments that he can now control magical power in a stable manner. Earth also says that it was worth all the times he puked from opening those magical holes, but he did take a bit to materialize magic. Traynor asks about the feeling of using an example technique, so Earth tells him that it feels fantastic. What he sees and what he hears feels natural, and he is surprised that it is so clear. And now he is ready for their final training session. Phantom sparring is like training with an ethereal spirit, so even if you attack, you do not feel like you have hit anything. However, with Traynor having the highest level of visual acuity magic, and for him who has trained his eyesight as well, it is easy to determine when and where a strike is going to hit. If this was 2 months ago, Earth would have been beaten to a pulp by now, but now he is not afraid of the sight of death. As they are fighting, Earth notices a gap in Traynor's defense, but before he can take advantage of that, Traynor punches him. He could not hit him because once again, he was forced to watch a vision of himself being dead. Earth flops on the ground, saying that it is no use, but the Demon King is quite impressed with him for being able to catch him off guard with an attack, but it was still not enough to put a dent on the great Demon King. Earth wants to fight one more time, and Traynor praises him for his enthusiasm. As Earth lay on his bed, he once again asked Traynor the reason he wanted to destroy the humanity, because he could not help but wonder about it. Traynor thinks that it is not something that humans would understand, but still tells him that it was 1,000 years ago, so long ago that he has forgotten why, but deep within the bowels of the earth, where even the sunshine did not reach, a chaotic world where only stagnant, rotten air and violence reigned, that was his home. In the depths of the earth, he embraced a dream to leave the demon realm and expand his world. Vast oceans, verdurous forests, warm sun, varying cultures and technologies, he wanted to see it all by himself. Others also joined him on this journey, but that dream did not come easy. The divide between races runs deep, so thoughts twisted into distortion, and hundreds to thousands of years went by. His purpose also changed shape, and he was no longer the person he once had been. Before he realizes, he found himself as the feared Demon King. Aerith listens carefully, but the Demon King says that it is a story of the past, and he wonders what has become of the demon realm after what happened. Earth asks if the humans also did cruel things to the rest of the demons. Traynor tells him that it is the norm. When a war breaks out, there are raids and retaliation. Humans did things that are immoral, and he also did such things. Earth realizes that he heard about the Demon King's cruelty, but Traynor was also subjected to it, so he says that he also wants to try to go to the demon realm. Traynor is surprised, but Earth says that he has been training him all this time, so he also wants to return the favor. He also wants to see a lot of countries as well. Traynor asks if he is sure about that, so Earth replies that the life of an imperial knight like his father would be too stable. Traynor tells him that if he became an imperial knight, he would not have time for such a thing, but Earth says that it would be okay, since he realized that he does not need to follow the same path as his father. Moreover, Traynor's wish to experience the world sounds like a lot of fun. He also wants to experience the world, and does not want to end up staying in this country forever. He wants to be able to make it in this vast world, and wants to become stronger, a man who can go anywhere. On the day of the graduation match, Traynor is surprised to see such a large crowd just to see children fighting one another. Earth says that it is because the children of the 7 heroes are a part of it this year. Every year, all kinds of influential people come to watch the games, and a lot of people come here to see people like that. Traynor thinks that it is a perfect situation. Once the event starts, a commentator announces that today marks the start of the Imperial Knights Academy graduation commencement tournament, and thanks the people for joining them. The participating graduates stand in the center. The audience cheers for their favorite graduate while the king and Earth's parents watch the event. Sadith is also found in the audience, the only person rooting for Earth. The match will be played in a tournament format, and the assignment will be determined via lottery. The first to pick up the lottery ball is rival Janine, who comes forward in girls shrieking and all kinds of praises. Aerith even hears someone say that Rival will be the winner when they have not even gotten past the drawing yet. Rival picks up the ball and announces that he will be going first, sending the audience into another round of shrieking. The next in line is Aerith Reagan, who steps forward and whispers and mutters about being a second-generation failure. Some speculate that he may turn out to be a dark horse, so they better wait and see. Traynor can already tell that Earth is conspiring and finds it interesting. Earth takes the box of lottery balls and tosses it into the air, shocking everyone. He then uses visual acuity and Canon Nikon to get the first ball, the same round as Rival. There is complete silence until the audience roars that he does not know his place and does not know what he is doing. Even Aerith's father, Hero, calls him an idiot and unrefined. The people cannot believe that he is trying to ruin a historic game. Even Rival has something to say, but Aerith says that he would understand why he did something like this. Rival is very angry as he knows that Earth saw the number in a split second and picked him on purpose. So he announces loud and clear that he accepts this declaration of was from Aerith Reagan. The audience once again starts talking about the fights between the children of the 7 heroes. The commentator says that it is not allowed and asks the audience to calm down. In the next second, the Emperor Solya barks out a silent order and stands up. Fiancé is surprised to see her father stand up, while Traynor thinks that it is a nostalgic face, as he is one of the 7 heroes, Solya, the Magic Spear Knight. The Emperor announces that what Aerith Reagan did was a violation of the rules, but asks Rival if he is going to accept the challenge. Rival bows in front of the emperor and shouts that he will definitely win this royal championship and will not be defeated by his opponents. He says that there is no need to draw a lottery to decide the order. Earth's parents ask Solya to not go along with this for the idiot's son, but the emperor smiles and says that it is fine since it would be impolite to dismiss a child's challenge. The emperor announces that he will allow it for the sake of fighting spirit. He announces that this is not a battle between graduates, but a formal duel between warriors. The first round shall be rival Janyan versus Earth Reagan. The emperor himself acknowledges this fight, as expected of the son of the hero. Earth really hates it when people say that. No matter how hard he tries, he is always told that the achievement is thanks to his father. It is as if all his efforts are being dismissed, all because he is the son of the hero. The people around him are not looking at Earth Reagan, but instead at the ideal hero. He could never afford to disappoint when held to such high expectations. So in this match, he wants to prove his wealth. Even his parents do not get what he is up to, but the first round of the Imperial Knight Academy graduation match will shortly begin. On one side, we have the son of the 7 heroes, the master swordsman, and the top student of the Imperial Knight sword fighting division, rival Janyan. On the other hand, we get a straightforward intro, the dark horse for the tournament, Earth Reagan. There was a bit of difficulty during the lottery, but oddly enough, the match has become a battle between the second generations of the 7 heroes. The Demon Lord Traynor asks Earth about the techniques he is going to use. Earth wants to test his power first. He has all the techniques taught by the Demon Lord, but he wants to see how far he can go with pure martial arts. He glances back at Sadith sitting in the audience and wants her to see the results of his training because he is going to be the victor. Sadith notices something and calls him out, pointing out that he does not have his sword with him. Earth and Traynor give each other a look, but everyone except the two of them are in a frenzy. Even Princess Fiancé thinks that he forgot his sword of all things. People are actually offended that Hero was a magic sword user, so his own child not using a sword is somewhat not allowed. Earth's father, Hero, also shouts at him to get his sword, but Earth wants everyone to just shut up. The referee asks if he is going to get it, but Earth refuses, as he says that his fist is his sword. The referee announces that Earth Reagan is fine without a weapon, so the first round shall begin. Rival thinks that Earth is making a fool out of himself by coming empty-handed after his show at the lottery, and charges at him with the intention of beating some sense into him. The audience cheers at Rival's initiation, but Fiancé is worried about Earth until she notices that Rival missed his target. Despite being shocked, Rival charges again with Imperial Sword Art, blooming turbulence. Even the royal guards at the arena think that Rival's moves are so fast that they cannot even track them with their eyes, but then find out that it is not even touching Earth. As you have guessed, Earth is using visual acuity acquired through speed reading, full use of dynamic visual acuity, and peripheral vision to predict the next action by reading the opponent's eye and muscle movement. Furthermore, he has improved motor skills and reflexes from ladder training to instantly react based on the predicted movement. It is the culmination of all the training he has done so far. This is not his father's sword, but Earth Reagan's own style. He lands a punch using a great demon corkscrew blow that shocks everyone. They praise him for dodging all of Rival's sword techniques and landing a powerful blow, but still think that it is all expected of the second generation of Hero, the hero. The audience thinks that it is because he possesses talent, and Hero trained him in secret, but Earth does not want them to use the word talent to sum up his training, and his father had no hand in training him. Traynor advises Earth to not be fooled by their blabbering, as there is still an opportunity to shed the label of Hero Reagan. Earth also thinks that it is not the time to be bothered by such things because Rival is still standing. Of course, he would not be beaten from that one punch alone. Rival questions Earth's power as he threw away his magical sword and used martial arts he has never seen before. Moreover, Earth dodged his every sword strike, so Rival wants to know how he became so powerful and asks if it was his parents who guided him. Earth says that if he told him the secret to his training, he would not be making such a dumb face, and reveals that he only strengthened his footwork, sparring and reading a bit. Even Rival knows that can't be everything, so Earth tells him that the good person who taught him this style got his mind to open up. Earth admits that when he went to the academy, he was frustrated by a wall that he could never overcome. Of all the children of the seven, he is the only one who is not good enough, at least that is what he has been told all this life. Not skilled enough in swordsmanship like Rival, not good at magic like Fu, and not literate and smart like Fiancé. He is the only one with no talent and incomplete that ate him for not living up to the world's expectations. However, that good person told him that he does not have his father's talent with a magic sword, so he needs to make use of his individuality instead. Earth felt refreshed to hear that he did not have to imitate a great hero when he could do things his own way. Earth still does not know if this technique suits him as he is in the middle of training and has decided to go his own way instead of following his mother or father. Even after this heartfelt movement, Rival being a rival gets even angrier and barks out that it is their duty as the seventh generation to pass on the achievements of their great predecessors because Earth was the one who guided him. Earth does not get why the dude is so angry, but still says that he understands Rival's pride in the seven heroes. But even so, his stance has not changed, and he is here to prove himself. Rival gets a dark aura as he accepts that Earth will not change and goes all out. Sadith is worried about Earth. Even Trainar assesses the situation that people are usually only able to perform at 30% of their true potential. Yet in times of crises, full potential can be reached to the so-called superhuman strength. Some humans are even capable of manifesting it intentionally. Even with Earth's visual adeptness, it will be hard to see everything, so as it is now, Earth cannot beat Rival. But now is no longer. Earth's magical holes have opened after enduring intense pain, unsealing magical power using the limit of the full body. It is the great demon Trainar's greatest body-strengthening technique, the great demon's super-evolution breakthrough. Trainar, feeling like a proud father, asks Earth who he was until now. Earth replies that he was the son of Hero, the hero, and now he is the great demon Trainar's disciple, and from now on he is going to be the new real him. Trainar feels excited and asks Earth to prove himself, so Earth charges forward, because this is the first time that Trainar ever called him by his name. It is the first time in his life he is recognized as Earth Reagan, and not the son of the hero, so he is determined to repay Trainar for showing him a new path and guiding him. Earth wants to charm him with his results, to give his thanks over and over because it is more than just buying a million books. Even the Demon King thinks that it is a better form of repayment. Earth uses the great demon flick to crash Rival into the wall. The audience is stunned and overwhelmed that rival Janin has lost, and the announcement is about to happen that Earth Reagan won the match, but it looks like Rival still has not given up. With Rival down, the audience is going crazy, and Earth is about to be declared winner, but Rival makes a comeback with his Imperial Sword Arts. The audience is shocked as Earth is about to be hit, but he is reminded of the time when he asked Trainar about the Great Demon Devil Spiral. Trainar told him that the technique consumes a vast amount of magical power and is a difficult technique to control. Considering Earth's current strength, he would need half a year, but Earth is sure that he is able to use it right now and wields the Great Demon Earth Spiral. Despite the audience having a bad reaction to the technique, Earth proceeds to go all out, but gets punched in the face so hard that he rolls on the ground like a ball. When he looks up, his parents are glaring down at him and the audience is surprised to see them. Earth wants to know about their intervention, but his father, Hero, declares that Earth Reagan will abstain from the match at this point. Earth wants to object, but Sadith's wailing stops him in his tracks. She asks him why he is using the Demon King's ability. Even Trainar is shocked to see a survivor of Shizonotami. Mamu jumps towards Sadith to give her support, but she is too horrified because of PTSD. Earth has never seen Sadith like this before, so Hero breaks the news to him that the tornado he just wielded is the ability the Demon King used to destroy Sadith's hometown. Earth is devastated to hear that the technique was used for such a purpose, but his father wants answers right now. Earth says that he just wanted him to see how strong he has become, so he worked hard every day. Hero slaps him, saying that an Imperial Knight would not use such a filthy trick to win. Hero wants the confused Earth to come along with him, but the gossip of the audience still reaches his ears as they blame him for being a dropout and want him exiled. In this moment of desperation, Trainar comes forward and proposes to Earth to reveal his identity to his father. He asks Earth to tell everyone that he was tempted by the great demon king and tell Hero of the knowledge that only the demon king would know. Earth cannot process what Traynor is suggesting because Traynor is blaming himself for teaching skills as an enemy of humans. Earth does not want to hear him say that because he was able to grow because of those lessons. Traynor was the only one who stood by his side and understood him, but the same Traynor is proposing to take all the blame on himself. Earth frees himself from Hero's hands as he tells Traynor that he is not the one at fault because he is Traynor's disciple, and there is nothing wrong with teaching a disciple his skills. Earth is determined not to deny Traynor's techniques and his growth over the last 2 months, so Earth shouts at the top of his lungs to talk to the outsiders. He tells them to shut up and listen for one that he has been training his ass off with this style, enduring so much pain and suffering, and finally mastering it. He announces that it is a technique his mentor taught him that pulled him out of this rotten life. So he refuses to be criticized by these people. Hero tries to stop Earth, but he punches him hard in the face, shocking everyone present. He tells Hero that this will be the last time he tells him that he has been in so much pain. People compare him to Hero and expect a lot from him, but he never once looked at his own son. Earth was called a failure of a second generation, while Hero did not do a thing. In the heat of the moment, Earth claims that he does not want to be Hero's kid, and wishes that he was never born. The audience once again starts calling him a disgrace and wants him exiled. Fiancé and Fu rush towards him, but Earth assumes that they have come to scold him for betraying his father and the masses. However, he does not care anymore, unleashes a great demon Earth spiral, and escapes through the ground, leaving everyone behind. While digging, Earth cannot help but cry as he remembers his childhood, dreaming of surpassing their fathers to become an ultra hero. He remembers his parents promising to spend more time with him. At last, he remembers asking Sadith if she is gonna move out when she graduates, and her promising that she would never leave his side. But she was the one most devastated watching him use the Demon King's magic. He cries harder and gets out of the ground, wailing loudly. This is reportedly the worst day of his life. Earth lies on the ground and keeps on crying. Traynor can see that Earth cannot even get up anymore, which is to be expected as the breakthrough's usage limit is 90 seconds. Moreover, Earth even conjured a devil spiral twice. Earth finally speaks to say that in that match, a part of him was hoping. No matter what he did, he was compared to his father and was sick of being the son of a hero. He used his own style during the match because he wanted to remove that label and did not want to be the son of a hero for once. He wanted people to think that Earth Reagan is amazing, but he could not even do that. The entire time they were watching him as if he was hero. The world wanted him to be this ideal hero, but never once did they think about the one who was getting stronger. So it is really frustrating. Traynor patiently listens to him and says that there is but only one way to fulfill his wishes. Traynor imposition him to surpass the achievements of Hero because Hero is revered so much because he defeated the Demon King who once ruled the world. However, if Earth accomplishes more, then all will be aware of the power of Earth Reagan, whether they want to or not. Earth wants to know how is he supposed to surpass his father, but Traynor's like, the heck I know. What could be called an achievement could be different, such as unifying the country and inventing something great. The answer is not limited to just this empire, so Earth can aim for the world. Traynor tells Earth to let the whole empire and the entire world know his name. Earth does not believe that he can surpass his father, but then remembers a memory of his childhood as he told everyone that Fu is the greatest mage in the world, Riva is the greatest swordsman in the world, Fiancé is the greatest spearmaster in the world, and Earth is the ultra hero who surpasses even his father. Earth realizes that he will be returning to his roots and stands up with a determination to do something even greater than his father. This time, he would not let anyone deny their existence, so they decide to head out to the ends of the earth. The guards are searching for Earth Reagan all over the capital but cannot find him anywhere. An old man gets agitated by the movement of the knights, so the guard tells him that what happened in today's grand match is the biggest incident since the end of the war. Earth's mother, Mamu, hurriedly enters Earth's room, but, as expected, does not find him there. Since the evidence of the Demon Lord has surfaced, the entire order of knights is out searching, but nothing about Earth has been found. Hero has already started searching outside the Imperial City, but if other units found Earth first and a fight broke out, the whole situation would be irreparable. Mamu even then searches in the closet as if Earth is a little boy playing hide and seek. She remembers how Earth said that he never wanted to be born and wonders what happened to him. Earth suddenly changed his fighting style and used the Demon Lord's techniques. Moreover, she wonders if Mamu and Hiro's existence became a sort of complex to Earth. She realizes that it is the first time she has taken a close look at Earth's room. His academy textbook brings back a look of memories, but the book is way more beat up than hers used to be and is filled with bookmarks. The entire bookshelf is filled with reference and technical books. Mamu remembers that Hiro and she never had anything like this. Earth has worked so hard just to be criticized this entire time. She finally understands where all this hate came from. Earth was crushed by all these high expectations. Mamu knew that the public thought of Earth, but she never focused on his efforts. She even used words such as, "if only he was a bit more," and "I wonder if he can even do it." She falls on the ground upon realizing that she is a stupid parent. The parent who should have been there for his struggles pushed all the housework caretaking to Sadith, so she never knew anything about her own child. Now she wishes that she had known something was wrong, but it's too late now. Mamu gets out of the room to find Sadith in front of her. She asks if Sadith sneaked out of the hospital without permission, but Sadith is more worried about Earth. Mamu briefs her that they are still looking for him after he runs away. Sadith heard the nurses talk at the hospital that the Imperial Guard was out in full force searching for Earth Reagan. If he is connected to the remnants of the Demon Lord's army, then there is no escaping his crimes. When Sadith heard that, she just could not stay anymore and searched around the city. Mamu assures Sadith that they would never let anything bad happen, even if they have to oppose the Emperor Solja. Sadith is still worried because all the people in the town are saying the dropout, Earth Reagan, cheated to enter the royal tournament. They said the reason he suddenly became stronger was because he used forbidden magic, but Sadith knows that they are all wrong as she has been standing by, watching Earth steadily train. There is no doubt about the power of Earth by the way he carried himself in the first half of the match. Sadith knows that he never cheated because she is the one who was closest and knew the most. It dawns on Mamu that she is a terrible mother. Sadith understands Earth more than she ever did. So she asks Sadith to help her with something because she needs to know more about him. Even if it's too late, even if she is a terrible mother, she wants to see him again. She wants Earth to give her another chance. Out in the wilderness, Earth asks how long it has been since they started this journey. To his horror, Traynor tells him that it has been roughly 3 hours. Earth feels frustrated because they have been walking forever, and everywhere he looks is the forest, with no cities in view. Traynor informs the spoiled child that it is not so easy to find a city, so they will have to camp in the wilderness at the very least. Earth does not like the sound of that, because he is used to living in a huge mansion all thanks to his father's authority. He misses his soft bed and Sadith's food, but this makes the Demon Lord look at him through a lens of disgust. Earth suddenly remembers his resolve to surpass his father and is suddenly okay with camping, but he doubts that the great Demon Lord even knows how to camp. Traynor proudly says that everything they need to know about survival is within his head, because he used to love solo camping during his time off. Earth points out that he used to do that solo thing because he did not have any friends. The great Demon Lord pouts at the spitting facts, so Earth has to say that he was only joking. Earth's stomach growls, which urges him to think about food, but the problem's solved as he notices a cute little rabbit in the vicinity. Earth jumps on the poor rabbit like a zombie, but as expected, the rabbit is much faster than him. After that, all his attempts to catch his food end up in vain. Now comes the great Demon Lord to give his lecture that small animals were originally hunted with projectile weaponry. Moreover, the overgrown ground and lack of paved roads make for poor footing, so Earth is at a disadvantage as he only ever fought on flat grounds. Earth is looking at his meat with hungry eyes, and the smug face of his food results in bloodlust. Now, the Demon Lord has no choice but to help his poor student even in catching food, so his lessons start. He starts by saying that the place is full of obstacles, so Earth's physical abilities cannot be utilized. Until now, the visual acuity he has worked on, along with peripheral vision and applying his reflexes, he can quickly grasp the surrounding terrain and determine the most efficient path. A skilled person adept at making decisions does it this way, so Earth should also be able to see the path like a streak of light. Traynor also gives him instructions, so it would be easy for Earth, who has trained using magical ladders. Earth uses the things he has accumulated so far to finally grasp his running food. All he has done has not been wasted at least. He is very happy to catch the small animal, but when Traynor tells him to gut it, Earth's happiness vanishes completely. After hearing the whole process of gutting and draining blood, the spoiled brat cannot bear the fact that he is the one who has to do it. Traynor asks if he does not want to do it because he feels bad for the small animal, but Earth refuses these claims until he notices 2 more rabbits peeking from the bushes. The cutesy magic of puppy eyes works on Earth as he cannot bear to hurt the small animal that is trying to live its life. At last, he names it Shooting Star and releases it so the rabbit can return to its family. However, the demon lord snaps at Earth for releasing his food because he does not eat, and his half-hearted hypocrisy would be to blame. They could have argued like an old married couple on this matter, but loud thuds approaching towards them make both of them silent in anticipation. Soon, a monster stands before them. The demon lord knows that the monster in front of them is a tribal ogre, a monster with extraordinary strength and high combat power. They are fierce and temperamental and have a history of destroying humans, as many towns in the past have been overrun by them. When Earth was a kid, he was always told if he was not a good boy, he would be eaten by one, and the memory still terrifies him. Even Traynor says that it is troublesome because ogres possess top-class power among all monsters, so it would be reckless to challenge it now. Earth does not have enough magic to use breakthrough, so he has no idea what to do at this point. Unexpectedly, the ogre asks him if he is lost, but Earth snaps as he tells the monster to back away and threatens him. However, the ogre urgently claims that he is not going to fight him, which is surprising for both Earth and Traynor. Earth thinks that the monster is suddenly acting coy to trick him, but the ogre even swears that he is not going to do anything. Earth still thinks that the ogre is trying to catch him off guard, but Traynor also observes that an ogre would have no intelligence meaning. The friendly ogre asks Earth if he is hungry and frustrated, and even invites him to his place to treat him to a meal. However, Earth is on high guard and refuses to go into the enemy's nest of all places. It is just like those picture books where the ogres kidnap and eat people. After some observation, Traynor tells Earth to relax as the ogre has no ill intent and is sincerely worried about him. Moreover, if he turns him down, there won't be another meet and Earth would not have enough strength to recover to even go on his journey. Earth is still opposed to the idea, but then he hears the ogre mention that a human would be afraid of an ogre like him and apologizes for scaring him. However, he still wants to direct Earth towards the city. Such a nice fellow. Earth himself had a bitter taste of discrimination based on race prejudice when he used the Demon Lord's technique, and now he is doing the same to this friendly monster. So, like a good boy, he apologizes for stepping all over the kindness bestowed upon him. He explains that he has never met a real ogre, so he was a bit on guard and looking at him with some sort of prejudice. During his confession, Earth's stomach also has something to say which makes him embarrassed. The ogre laughs that Earth is just hungry and invites him to join as he has just finished hunting, so Earth thanks him and starts following the ogre. Along the way, the ogre introduces himself as Akka and asks for Earth's name. Earth only reveals his first name, but Akka says that Earth is kind. Earth is surprised to hear such a compliment, so Akka explains that every human he has ever met has been scared of him since he is an ogre, but Earth spoke to him. Earth can't really talk when he did the same thing, but Akka is happy that Earth apologized and accepted him. Earth notices that the ogre is too gentle and too human-like, but his train of thought stops when, as they reach Akka's home. Like a good host, Akka apologizes for the mess, but the farm in the forest catches Earth's attention. Akka mentions that he made the farm himself and grows vegetables here. He also mentions that he lives here alone and takes Earth inside the house through a huge ogre-sized door. Earth looks around the house as Akka prepares food and notices that the building style is different than that of empires. The all-knowing teacher Traynor says that this is an Eastern country-styled architecture. However, it is a bit rough here and there, which points out that the ogre probably also built the house. Catching food, growing vegetables, and even a house was a far cry from a spoiled brat who struggled to catch even a single rabbit and then let it go. A delicious smell soon fills the house when Akka arrives with the prepared food. Earth cannot believe that such nice food was prepared by an ogre, but Akka happily explains that the meat is from the beast he just hunted. The salad is from wild greens and vegetables from his farm, and the grain is familiar to demons and humans known as rice. Akka even hands out a fork and still worries if the food will suit Earth's tastes. Earth takes a bit and the manga converts into food wars. Earth takes bite after bite as he sings the quality of food inside his head. It suddenly dawns upon him that if Sadith was here, she would get mad over his bad manners when eating a fresh and vibrant salad. But the food is so yummy that he cannot help but forget his manners. The fresh vegetables and juicy meat are so irresistible that he cannot stop eating. It is Akka that makes him realize that he is shedding tears and worries that the bad taste of food made him cry like that. Earth has his mouth full and cannot speak at the moment, so he holds out 2 fingers in front of his face as he chews and swallows the food. Earth assures Akka that the food is really good and explains that he ran away from home. He cannot tell what happened exactly, but says that he is in a situation where he cannot go back home. So he had decided to take care of things on his own, but the truth is, he could not even feed himself today. So when he ate the food prepared by Akka, it was such a warm feeling that he began to cry. However, he cannot go back as he has made up his mind, and his only option is to keep moving forward. Earth thanks Akka, but Akka holds out 2 fingers in front of his face and says that he is the one who wants to thank Earth. He is an ogre, but he hates fighting, and humans are afraid of what he looks like, so he went into the woods to get away from humans. That's how he has been living here for over 10 years now, so he thanks Earth for not being afraid to come here and telling him that his food is good. Once again, Akka says that Earth is a good guy, but Earth thinks that the good guy here is Akka. However, because of the label of ogre, he is always alone and cannot even leave the forest. AKA asks Earth to teach him about humans because he thinks that if he knows more about them, maybe they can be friends one day. Earth does not know what he is talking about because they are already friends. AKA is so surprised that he starts crying as he calls Earth a sweet boy. In the Empire, Earth was surrounded by his childhood friends who were all too high level for him, and his classmates were always distant because he was the son of the hero. So he never thought that he would ever have a friend who could talk to him on equal footing like this, so now he is glad that he left the Empire. Traynor is amused that the son of a human who once defeated the demons is calling a demon his friend. Traynor also notices something else in the room but does not say anything. The next morning, Akka guides Earth towards the city, so Earth thanks him. AKA also cleaned his clothes very well, being the wife material. He asks if Earth really does not want to go back to his hometown, but Earth thinks that he cannot really go back anymore. Earth asks Akka if there is anything he wants from the town, because he wants to get it for him even though he needs to get out of Empire's territory as soon as possible. However, Akka would be lonely, so he wants to come back again, which gains him 1 more of Akka's praises. Earth asks if he wants furniture or handy tools, but Akka wants a cake. He heard cakes made by humans are sweet, fluffy, and delicious, so he wants to try it at least once. Earth is about to head off, but Akka stops him to give him a talisman from his hometown. He says that it is handmade, so it is a bit rough around the edges, but Earth is genuinely surprised that Akka made it himself. Akka made it in hopes that Earth's journey would become a little safer thanks to the talisman. Earth thanks him and promises to treasure it, but Akka holds out 2 fingers in reply. Earth would never forget this ogre's tears and heads off. Earth is running as far as he can. He is actually partaking in voluntary training as he figured he should remember how he ran yesterday and come up with his own course. Traynor reminds him to not get too carried away and veer off the path, but Earth is determined to have a gift for Akka and any necessary equipment by the end of the day. However, he forgot about the most essential thing for buying stuff, the money. So as soon as they reach the city, Earth looks for a job, but the man's like, nah, not happening, because they require members to graduate from the academy, and Earth does not even have an ID on him. Earth is desperate for the money, so he is even willing to do the chores, but still the man's like, nope, because an ID card or an academy diploma is required to hire people for the guild. That is how they submit guild members' identities to the government. Nowadays, the only guilds that do not adhere to those rules are black market or anti-state ones. However, even if Earth had an ID, his identity as Earth Reagan would be revealed, which would lead to his dad and others finding his location. Earth is lost in his thoughts when he is asked to move aside as he is holding up the line. Earth apologizes and steps aside as the other man steps forward. Feeling dejected, Earth starts walking in the city as he thinks that he will not be able to find any work. Traynor is also bemused by human inefficiency, as he thinks that the ability of a person should be the only thing that should matter. Earth wants to get out of the Empire as soon as possible, but he does not have an income to make it possible. His attention is diverted by a crowd cheering, so he and Traynor decide to take a peek at what is happening. Passing through the crowd, Earth finds a game of Go in the middle. Go is a board game where you use black and white stones to expand your territory. It is the game that Traynor saw in Akka's house as well, and we are not surprised to find that Traynor knows all about Go. The history of Go spans over 1,000 years, and it was the most popular game for demons. It was once known as the Demon King's game as well, but Earth is not impressed to hear that. If the Demon King played it, of course it would be called the Demon King's game. The announcer asks if there is anyone who dares to challenge the Japone resident, Shinobi Stork. She has consecutive wins in Go, even though she is just the same age as Earth. Japanese are different from Imperials, but Traynor informs that this group is likely warriors as well. So the first guess is samurai, but Traynor does not agree. The announcer once again asks and reveals that the winner will receive 100,000 Suburas. Earth is surprised to hear the amount of prize money, but Shinobu says that she has already earned enough money and has got a good grasp of the level of play around here. It was a good way for her to pass the time, but the excitement of the audience is waning. Earth finds out that you have to pay the money if you lose, while the girl smugly claims that she is a beauty with great style and is overflowing with appeal. She even says that he finds the vulgarly narrowed gazes unpleasant. Of course, the crowd is not happy to hear her flaunt her beauty and call them perverts. The crowd cannot help but be impressed by her talent, but her cocky personality is too big to ignore. After hearing about the prize money, Traynor asks Earth to go forward, even though he does not know a thing about Go. However, Traynor is sure that Earth does not need to know a thing about the game. Understanding, Earth steps forward and challenges Shinobu to a match. The audience is impressed by his braveness and wishes him good luck. Shinobu is surprised to find that Earth is the same age as her, but after some observing, she says that he does not look very competent. Her audacity pisses off Earth but does not say anything. Shinobu is fine with accepting him as a challenger, as it is not every day he gets to play with someone her own age. Hence, the match between Shinobu and Traynor starts. Shinobu asks Earth to make the first move, so Traynor gives his instructions for the first move. Shinobu comments that he is using an old tactic, but Traynor says that he is using a tactic from just 15 years ago. Shinobu proceeds to make a move, but suddenly stops and starts trembling because she is caught in a small unit surprise attack. The Demon King Traynor wickedly laughs as he says that she would love to crush this move. If she does not attack now, they will enter the camp, but if she chooses that, her defense will collapse. Earth does not understand what is going on right now and desperately needs an explanation. On the other hand, Shinobu gives in to the provocation, but the Demon King is excited to welcome her as everything is within his expectations. He expects the enemy to bow down to the overwhelming power of his move as her impenetrable formation collapses. In the end, Shinobu has no choice but to concede. The crowd cheers for Earth's incredible performance, but he does not have any idea what just happened. Shinobu's companions are surprised that she lost, and when Earth asks for the prize money, Shinobu has no problem providing what she promised. When Earth receives his prize money, Shinobu excitedly asks for a rematch. Earth refuses, but Shinobu claims that she does not want the money. The thing is, she has never lost to someone her own age, in Go grades and even in looks. It has been so long since she has had such a surge of stimulation. Earth is troubles because he was not the one playing the match, but Traynor also wants to go at it again. Earth refuses because it looks like a pain in the head and excuses himself, saying that he has other plans. The clingy thing says that she will tag along as well. Her companion objects but is far too excited to listen to him and wants to spend time with such a cute girl. Who is she calling a girl? No idea. However, in her excitement, something manages to escape from her chest and falls to the ground. Earth is beyond shocked that her chest flew away. Shinobu sweats, dashes towards her chest, wiggles it inside her body once again, smiles, and makes a run for it with her companions in pursuit, leaving a very confused audience behind. Earth makes a stop at a bakery and is amazed to see different kinds of cakes. They have no idea what an ogre would like, but Traynor suggests that a creme cake would be good if it is a gift, or cupcakes if he is going cheap. However, the spoiled brat orders one of each kind. Traynor objects, but Earth's logic is that if he buys everything, he would not miss out on anything. Traynor also realized in the bookstore that Earth's sense of money is quite off, but he refuses to admit it. In his defense, Earth says that the princess is way worse than him because she ordered a ridiculous cake for his birthday. Traynor requests his disciple to not compare himself to the princess of an entire country. To top it off, Earth orders some cake and tea for himself when the worker says that it will take a bit of time to package everything. While enjoying his treat, Earth asks Traynor if he ever gets hungry even though he is dead. Traynor thinks for a while and replies that he has not had such cravings since parting with his mortal form. He does not even think that it looks tasty, but if he were to come across an unknown food, it would certainly pique his interest. After hearing this, Earth calls for the worker and orders another serving of cake and tea. Traynor does not know what he is up to, so Earth explains that he knows Traynor cannot eat, so there is probably no point to this. He calls it an offering and feels embarrassed for saying it out loud. Traynor thinks that it is a bit wasteful, but Earth promises to eat it later. Finally, the Demon King decides to accept the offerings. Some commotion draws their attention, so they get out of the shop to find that there is smoke in the mountains. The people are talking about the ninja outcasts from Japan who are hunting a monster tribe in the mountains. The monster in the mountain can possibly mean Akka, so Earth looks worried. The worker at the bakery comes out to inform that the cakes have been packed but finds no one at the spot, because Earth is making a run through the forest right now. He is agitated after hearing that Akka could be in danger. Traynor mentions that Akka proclaimed every human is afraid of him. He does not know when such a sighting occurred, but if the word got out about an ogre sighting, hunters would certainly be dispatched. The fear of ogre is something that Earth knows too well because Akka was in the same situation when they first met. Earth hurries over to save his friend, but it seems like Traynor has some info about the matter. However, before he can say anything, they are ambushed by someone who asks what a young boy is doing here alone. The person claims that there is a dangerous ogre out here, so the roads are closed, but Earth assumes that the person in front of him is a Japone hunter. The hunter does not seem too surprised that his identity is revealed as they have become well known now. On the other hand, Traynor advises Earth to be careful as he is surrounded. One of them is directly behind while the other is behind to his right. The person claims to be a guild hunter, but Earth cannot be fooled here. The hunter once again tells Earth to take a detour if he wants to pass, but Earth asks what they did to the ogre. The hunter gladly replies that they culled all of the ogres they found. The hunter says that since Earth is young, he does not know what happens when these monsters are left alone. In the past, the Demon King's army mobilized large amounts of demons and monsters. In particular, the ogre laid waste to humans on the front lines. The Demon King was defeated and peace restored, but the remnants of his army spread across the world, and they are still sharpening their fangs so that they can exterminate humans even now. The hunter says that as long as such danger exists, the public cannot enter the place. However, Earth knows that is all wrong, since Akka is not like that at all. He is pensive, compassionate, and wants to be friends with humans. So Earth starts speaking up for his friend, even though the Demon King knows that it is a bad idea. Earth says that even though he is an ogre, he was helped by that ogre yesterday. He was scared at first, but when he talked to him, the ogre was such a nice guy. Earth accounts all the favors Akka did for him, but the hunter remains untouched and thinks that Earth is just trying to interfere with his work by talking nonsense. Earth gets angry and charges at the hunter, claiming that what he is doing is murder and that the ogre is his friend. However, before Earth can land a punch, the hunter vanishes in a smokescreen while Earth falls to the ground. The one to arrive is Shinobu, who greets Earth nonchalantly. The hunter is surprised that the missus knows the boy, so Shinobu tells him that they met a little back in the city. Shinobu says that it is time for Earth to sleep, but is shocked to see Earth stand up behind her. She really thought Earth blacked out, but he shifted his body at the last moment when she attacked, so it really was a close call. Shinobu does not seem to like the idea that they are really going to do this, but Earth is all pumped up because he needs to get through them. However, the hunter steps forward to fight as he thinks that they do not need 3 people to deal with a mere child. He charges at Earth using his Japone art, Flowing Run. Traynor observes his quick moves, which are apparently not so quick. They use their skillful footwork and movement to make themselves untraceable, though for Earth, it is but a trifling matter. As the hunter approaches him, Earth's like, "Hello there," and punches him towards the sky, shocking Shinobu and the other hunter. And just like that, One hunter is down. Earth says that he can do it too and uses his great demon goose step to approach the remaining enemy. Shinobu thinks that he is using the Japone technique, but Traynor feels proud that it is a step learned from his ladder training, a technique similar to Japone's style of running, always feinting, trying to shift your opponent's predictions, a step perfect for deception. As Earth approaches, the hunter comes in front of Shinobu to launch an attack, but it is just a feint, and the real Earth is the one who punches him that he barely dodges. The hunter finally understands that this is no mere child, and if he is not careful, he will be down no time. On the other hand, Traynor is watching the event from the sidelines, observing that the enemy is still standing, but their mind is torn. This is all too slow as compared to the sonic sword art of the son of the master swordsman. The hunter once again plans to launch an attack and makes some hand moves. Thanks to Traynor, Earth finds out that it is called a chant. There are two traditional military powers in Japone. One is the samurai who has mastered the art of sword, while the other supports Japone from the shadows, a ninja. The said ninja uses the evading wind technique to form a spiral maelstrom that is much like wind magic. Earth uses Kilo Earth Wall to counter it, and then performs Aura to cause a diversion using rocks to finally punch the ninja far away. He is proud that a Japone ninja is no big deal to him, but Traynor scolds him for being cocky when it was just a small fry compared to the great demon lord. All Earth wanted was just a little praise from his teacher. Traynor knows that situation. A ninja is a warrior who specializes in surprise attacks shrouded in darkness, so they are at a disadvantage when fighting head-on. In addition, Traynor trained Earth and beat into him the strength of a high-level knight in order to overwhelm those second generations, so no ordinary warrior could stand against him, but Traynor is still worried about something. Shinobu starts saying that Earth is really strong enough to overwhelm her companions like that. She even says that if she had been blessed with the right circumstances, she might have fallen in love with Earth. However, Earth is not interested in someone who lies about their chest size to trick people. Suddenly, Shinobu's aura takes a dark turn as she says that she is overflowing with passion. There is bloodlust in the air when she claims she has never lost in Japone in Go, beauty, and combat. The only exception is her brother, who received recognition from Kojiru, one of the 7 heroes. Now, even Traynor looks troubled that she is that ninja's apprentice. The evil Shinobu approaches Earth as she invites him to let this scorching passion overflow. Shinobi are those who do not appear on the front lines modestly and nimbly support Japone. When she was a kid, she got excited without even thinking about it, and enrolled in ninjutsu school, aiming to be a shinobi. She produced results almost immediately, and everyone praised her overwhelming abilities. However, her passion dwindled faster than she expected, and she came to hate the classes, for they were ineffective, but she bared them with the thought that she would be in a better place after she was out of here. That's what she thought, but the mission assigned to them was to safeguard some brat of a rich family. The place was the setting of the story the child liked to read, and wanted ninjas to cosplay the characters and entertain him. One of Shinobu's companions objected to the idea of using shinobi as street performers, but got scolded that shinobi have no war that they seek now that the war with the demon lord is over and the world is at peace. The man even claims that they are all in good hands because the high-level shinobi recognized by Kojiru of the 7 heroes was allowed to serve this family because of his achievements. There are low-level shinobi whose minds only know warfare became scoundrels, selling their bodies to earn little scraps of money. After that, Shinobu's passion just died, and there was nothing that excited her anymore. She and her companions decided to leave Japone as the country no longer needed shinobi, and Shinobu just did what she was told without any passion, or so she thought until she met Earth. Earth is on guard because her mood suddenly changes. He thought she would be the easiest and the least of his worries, but he cannot rush this like before. Lost in his thoughts, Earth barely dodges the knife thrown at his face. Shinobu compliments his reflexes but attacks by throwing more knives at him. Traynor tells Earth that this is a unique weapon-throwing technique of the kunai ninjas and his physical arts make for a bad opponent. He advises Earth to approach carefully and bring the combat close quarters. Earth is listening to the advice and narrowly avoids a log swinging toward him. Looking at the trap now, Earth finally understands that he was able to win so easily before because it was all a decoy to make certain that the girl would win. Shinobu keeps on attacking Earth while he runs and dodges. Frustrated, Shinobu uses the technique of evading art, fog wind. Earth is surprised, but Traynor tells him that it is troublesome as his vision is obstructed now. Traynor is about to predict her position, but she has already attacked Earth using her knives. Earth takes out the knives and uses Kilo Thunder in the direction of the knives. However, Traynor tells him that it is useless as the enemy is constantly on the move, so he cannot attack randomly and expect to hit anything. All Earth is doing is consuming his magic right now. Frustrated, Earth curses and asks her to fight fairly. However, Traynor knows that until now, Earth has been very fortunate. The first one underestimated his abilities and foolishly went in headfirst, and the second became a scapegoat to pass on the success to others. In a real battle, the circumstances are not so clear-cut as there are no clear rules. No matter how many dirty tricks are used, a dead man tells no tales, for the survivor is justice. This is a warrior from beyond the Empire, and Earth seems to be reaching his limit, so Traynor decides to help him a little bit. On the other hand, Earth is also thinking of the whole situation. Dodging and attacking do not work, so he wishes to blow away the fog when an idea hits his head. Shinobu is observing Earth's every move and wonders if he has more endurance than most, but that is no sign of a counterattack. In the end, it is not enough to restore her passion, so she makes a stop to put an end to it all, using ninja art, Stone Valley. The stones are about to hit Earth, but he would not go down without a fight, so he summons a great demon to spiral to eliminate the fog, the trees, and everything else around Shinobu. She is shocked that he blew away every single obstacle and finally found her. Shinobu knows that she needs to hide and starts running, but Earth is faster and she cannot react in time. The moment she saw that blinding light, she could not win anymore. Her heart is beating so fast it feels like it could explode, but she does not hate this because everything is so hot and burning. This is what she has been waiting for all her life, and is so ready to take that punch in her face, but Earth stops himself before punching her and declares her defeat. Shinobu becomes angry for being fooled and asks if she is not even worth being finished off. However, Earth snaps as he says that he cannot beat her up because her good looks would be wasted. He even says that she needs a more punchable face for that. Hearing that, Shinobu blanks for a moment and then blushes hard. Traynor can guess that Earth has never hit a woman before, even though he is pretty serious about the princess, but Earth says that thing is a monster, so she does not count. Shinobu is still stuck in her place. It is so hot that she feels like she is going to melt. Shinobu is chasing after Earth for a whole new reason now. She wants to know his name, height, weight, and everything else, but Earth won't let her near him. He asks why she is even following him, but she starts introducing herself and says that she is Shinobu Stork, the eldest daughter of the Shinobu family, a Junin known for being a child prodigy, undefeated in Japan Go tournaments, and her type is Earth. She did not need to say that she was absolutely crazy about Earth. Traynor is bemused by her antics and says that this human girl is beyond his understanding. But he is not in the wrong because Earth is a human, and even he cannot understand Shinobu. She hurt him badly and tried to get rid of Akka, but now she is like a totally different person. Her energy is seriously insane, so Earth does not know what would happen to him if she caught up to him. However, Shinobu claims that she is just trying to help him, as her brother is just up ahead. According to her, her brother is a lot stronger than her, a genius recognized by Master Kojiru of the 7 heroes, so even Earth would not be able to defeat him. Earth is sick of hearing about geniuses and the 7 heroes, but he diverts his attention up ahead, where they are exiting the forest. After reaching the area, Earth finds chaos, but Traynor does not seem surprised as he already expected as much. He calls those shinobis fools because there is no way a mere human could defeat the ogre. AKA is approaching the beaten-up genius, so Shinobu calls for her brother while Earth calls for Akka. However, Akka throws a part of the wood at Earth, furious that the humans destroyed his home. Traynor informs that a raging ogre has no restraint, so Akka no longer has control over himself. The shinobi set fire to his house and brought out his wrath, so Akka would not even recognize Earth in this state. Earth feels dejected because Akka was a good-natured and sensitive guy who wanted to just get along with humans, and yet it all came to this. The ogre's roar alone is enough to make his legs quake, and he feels like his stomach is full of lead. His body won't stop shaking, his eyes won't even focus, and even after knowing that Akka is his friend who has done nothing wrong, Aerith cannot help but feel fear. If he were to step forward now, he would become mincemeat in an instant. Traynor can also feel that Earth is completely consumed in fear. He knows this is an appropriate response to a raging ogre who has his house burned down. Those shinobis had it coming, but there is no way Earth can keep his cool in such a situation. Traynor knows that Earth always hated the discrimination against demon folk, but now he is faced with a horror that cannot be reasoned with, so he wonders what he will do. AKA seems to be in so much pain, saying he just wanted to live in peace, but his house and his field were burnt down and he wants it back. Mr. Genius cannot comprehend the fact that an ogre who only enjoys destruction and carnage wants peace. After all, the ogres have been destroyed and laid waste to those living in peace. The genius does not want to believe a thing the vermin is saying, but Traynor comments that words are useless since Akka cannot hear a thing anymore. The ogre roars and proceeds to punch the genius, but Earth dashes to kick his fist away as he stands in front of the genius. Earth says he will never forgive them for what they did to his friend. If this was not going down, he would punch them himself and ask the shinobi to get out of his sight. As Shinobu leaves with her genius brother, Earth tells Akka that humans are really mean sometimes. If he were to put them in a category like demons and ogres, they hurt when they are afraid, making decisions without knowing the circumstances. He does not think Akka is the type to wreak havoc, yet he also becomes a human on that side, scared of Akka. Earth suffered from being labeled, but was the same. Shinobu asks Earth to not do anything stupid, as a human is no match for a rampaging ogre. But Earth tells her to shut up because things got this bad all thanks to scums like them. Earth would not let Akka be a destroyer, so he asks his friend to take out all his anger and sadness on him. AK roars and starts attacking while Shinobu and her brother watch from the sidelines, unable to comprehend the friendship between a human kid and an ogre. Shinobu knows that she should drag him away and run away from here, but as the ones who caused this mess, they do not have that right. Earth keeps dodging the attacks as he is sure that he will die in an instant if he takes a hit like that. He is not sure why, but Akka is way more intense than earlier. Traynor guesses that Akka is annoyed since Earth keeps darting about, and it is going to her worse from here on. Earth hesitates to take Akka head-on, but Traynor reminds him that he said it himself that he would take on his anger and sadness. He asks Earth what is going to be his solution to save his friend from being drenched in sadness and despair. Earth does not understand what Traynor is going on about, so Traynor says out loud that the answer is the heart. This fight is not about winning it losing. Even if he fails, if he faces it head-on and does not run, his feelings will push through. Shinobu is shocked to find that Earth has stopped moving and is going to take the punch head-on. However, after the punch, the ogre seems to be in pain, but not to worry. Traynor-sensei to the rescue. The forehead is the hardest part of the human body, not to mention breakthrough can be used to strengthen the extremities. If it is taken with the body's full weight, even an ogre's hand can be stopped. Earth is still standing, but his head feels like it's gonna crack open, but if he gets him to release all of his anger, the real Akka should come back. Though this is a dangerous tightrope to walk, if the fist deviates from Earth's forehead even slightly, his head would be crushed into a bloody mess. The key here is well-trained visual acuity, reflexes, and a strong heart to resist the temptation of fear. Earth keeps on taking the punches, as he says that he is sorry because Akka worked so hard to build his house. Even all the fields he grew are gone. AKA fed him and helped him, but he did not even get to come back with a thank you cake. It seems like nothing changed. Humans and ogres all get angry when something of theirs is broken. The only difference is that the ogres are just a little stronger than humans. AKA starts growling once again while Shinobu is still confused because she knows that if they leave it all alone and let it free, the rampaging ogre should stop, but Earth is willing to risk his life for this. Traynor, who heard Shinobu's comments that they would not understand because of the fear from those close to him and the pain of rejection, Earth understands these feelings the most. For that reason, he will reach out a helping hand till the very end, crying out until his voice reaches those who suffer. He calls the humans of the Empire petty for casting away his brave disciple. They are all too dull to even understand such a heart-wrenching sight. Risking one's life for friends is a figure of a true hero. AKA feels his body weak and does not want to keep going as he cannot even move his legs. The house, furniture, and fields he built are all gone, so he has nowhere to go anymore. He is even tired of thinking, but then he hears someone call his name. When he opens his eyes, Akka finds Earth touching his head and falling down in front of him. Akka is devastated to find that he did all this to his friend, but Earth holds out 2 fingers as he smiles widely and says that he is willing to do anything for a friend. AKA does not understand why he would go so far for someone he just met yesterday. Earth remembers others calling him the son of the hero, while Aka was the only one who said he is amazing. Earth smiles as he says that Aka told him the words he wanted to hear the most. An ogre has overwhelming destructive power, but he hates this power. Earth wakes up to find Aka sitting near, cooking food. Earth falls back as his head feels like it is going to explode. He notices that he is all patched up and asks if Aka is the one to do it. However, Aka informs him that the girl was the one who patched him up. In truth, Aka did not really trust the people who burned his house, but the girl was rubbing her face on the ground as she said that she knew it was not her place to be here, but Earth was important to her. AK, the sweet ogre, could not say no to such a desperate request. AK asks if she is a friend of Earth's, but he makes it clear that they just met. AK just let them at it, and they were a big help and even took care of his injuries as well. Earth finally knows what happened while he was out, so Aka hands out a book, claiming that the girl wanted him to give it to Earth. Earth is confused to find that it is an exchange diary and starts reading it. Shinobu writes that she heard his name, but will not say it, since she wants to hear an introduction directly from him. Through the fight between Earth and the ogre, she was able to watch that in order to save his friend. Earth fought Japon Junin, never gave in, and defeated them. She has seen numerous warriors in her time, but people like Earth are hard to come by. Not only that, Earth went up against a rampaging ogre and faced it without fear. No matter how much danger he was put in, he never gave up on him. She was reminded that friendship can blossom even between humans and demons. When the battle ended and Aka shed tears over Earth, her chest tightened, and all she could think of now was how shallow she was. Her only regret is robbing Aka of his home and only thinking of rewards. After reading it, Earth realizes that it is not an exchange diary, but rather an apology. AKA tells him that the leader of the group also said the same thing to him, that they will fix his house and fields they destroyed to make it up to him. But Aka told them he does not want any of it, as he wanted nothing to do with them anymore, so he told them to leave the mountain. Earth can understand Aka because he knows that no matter how much they apologize, Aka's emotional scars will never heal, as it is not easy to move past things like that. Earth reads further to find Shinobu claiming that he has stolen her heart and wants to be with him as soon as possible. She wants to know so much more about him that she has prepared notes and wants him to write about his current life. Earth is shocked to see the never-ending list of questions and shuts the book with force. He cannot even tell Aka what is wrong with his behavior. While eating food, Earth asks Aka what he is going to do now. Aka shares that he should leave this place as the town at the foot of the mountain knows of his existence, so more humans will come to eliminate him. Earth slowly asks if Aka would like to come along with him. He says that he wants to see the world, gain lots of experience, and one day become a man who can accomplish amazing things. That is his goal right now, and thinks that it would be an exciting adventure if Aka came with him. AK asks if Earth is sure he can follow him around places and feels touched by the affirmation. He says that Earth is a really kind person, so Earth smiles brightly and asks if there is anywhere Aka would like to go. AK says that he has never been beyond the Empire, and the two talk the night away. AK is grateful that Earth became friends with him and saved him. The next day, Earth wakes up in the shadow of the trees, and when Trainar tells him it is already midday, he knows that he slept too much. Earth is asking where Aka is when he notices a note beside him. The note seems to be from Aka, who writes about his injuries and apologizes for what happened. Earth does not know what this is all about, but when reads the next line, his smile fades away. AK says that he cannot come along with him. He never told Earth, but Aka was a soldier in the Demon King's army. When he was a kid, he did not live in an ogre village, but lived in a dark elf village. However, when the war broke out, his family and he were drafted. Joining the army was the first time Aka saw an ogre outside of his own family. An army of ogres on a battlefield would slaughter humans in every way possible. They would rip off their heads, bury them alive, and trample them to death. It was scary and horrifying for the sweet Aka. So Aka has no excuse for the humans having a grudge against ogres. both his father and mother were out of control, destroying lives indiscriminately. AK was unable to stop the army nor save any of the suffering humans. He could not take this living hell anymore, so he fled from the army and became a traitor, eventually forced to leave the demon world. That is why he has been living above the ground in hiding for so long. He has been on his own for over 10 years now. He thought it would be simple to make friends with humans, and then he would not be alone anymore. However, humans would never forgive an ogre who trampled upon their lives. Yet Earth became his friend, so he was really happy. He cannot go with Earth because he is important to him. If he went with him, they would not be able to go to the human inns, restaurants, or even cities. Earth is the only friend he has in this world, so he does not want to get in his way. Reading all this, Earth hurries after Akka, but Trainar informs him that he left before sunrise, so it is useless. Even if Earth went now, he could not catch up. Earth snaps at Trainar for not telling him sooner, but Trainar says that he respected Akka's decision, and that he does not really have a right to oppose it as the source of the war. Earth is sure that Akka would not get in his way, but Trainar tells him that Akka cannot bear being a nuisance. Because of his kindness and his care for Earth, he cannot help but torment himself. Earth runs through the forest and calls for Akka over the cliff. Somewhere far away, it's like Akka hears him and holds out 2 fingers as he thinks of a friend in the distant sky. Princess Fiancé fiercely speaks with her father, the king, and asks him to rethink his decision. She tells him that Earth is treated as a sinner in the city, and people are even talking about locking him up for life or executing him. She says that the royal family lost their minds and their hearts, but she feels like it is not so necessary to go that far. However, the king says that he cannot do anything about this. She does not understand how much the Demon King has inflicted on them. Parents, siblings, spouses, and lovers, many were destroyed by the Demon King's army. Some of those lives that meant everything were taken from them. The king still remembers the feeling of anger and fear like it was yesterday. Fiancé puts her argument that Earth is not the Demon King's army and did not hurt anyone. The king tells her that the lingering effects from the aftermath of the Demon King still remain. That is the reason why people are so angry, and people's emotions cannot change that easily, so the masses would not be satisfied without this punishment. The king says that Earth is the precious child of an important friend and a fellow soldier for him, which is the reason why he allowed him to remain in the previous match. However, he cannot do any more from his position and asks Fiancé to give up on Earth. Hearing that, Fiancé trembles because she cannot do anything. Outside the room, Fu asks Rival if he remembers the 4 of them playing heroes. Rival does not understand why he is suddenly spouting, but Fu continues to say that back in the early days, Earth led all of them. When they grow up, they will become heroes beyond their fathers. They used to gather almost every day to play. Thinking about it now, it is amazing to say that they were going to surpass their fathers. Few remembers that Earth at that time was very bright and dependable. Just by listening to the positive words from Earth, he is really motivated to do it as well, and asks if it is the same for Rival. Rival says that it is already the story of the past. He thought that Earth would always be the one to guide them, but he changed with the difference of their abilities. The Earth that they admired has disappeared. However, Fu reminds him that Earth changed once again during the match. When Fu was a child, he thought they were very close to each other. However, in desperate pursuit of oneself, they gradually stopped talking, and now he knows nothing about Earth. Fu notices that the princess has returned, but she looks downcast as she informs them that the exile of Earth remains the same. Even her father cannot calm the anger of the people, and if Earth was found, it would be the end. She cries as she says that Earth is her other half, so even if everyone else becomes her enemy, she will protect Earth. Fu is about to say something, but a knight arrives to tell the princess that there is someone who would like to meet her immediately. It is the memory of Earth claiming that he was in so much pain, being compared to his father and expected a lot by others, but his father never once looked his way. He doesn't want to be his child and wishes that he was never born. Hero is jolted awake when a knight calls for him to report on the current situation. He informs that the whole Earth dug is blocked, so they do not know where it continues. The troops in each city are also investigating, but there are no leads in the movement. Hero contemplates the situation and thinks that Earth cannot go far considering his magical power. However, he doubts his own statement and wonders if the amount of magic is really the case here. Earth showed a lot of tricks in the match and used a lot of magic, and yet he still has enough magic to escape by himself. Hiro does not know how far his son went with his magic, as he never knew that his child was so strong. There were no cheap tricks in his physical technique during the match against rival. It was all his power, but he kept denying his growth. Now, Hiro hates himself for not listening to him at that time. He should have listened to his troubles and ambitions properly. He does not want to lose Earth like this. A knight suddenly comes running towards him to inform him of an urgent call from the unit at the capital. Hiro asks if they found Earth, but the informant tells him that Fu, Rival, and Mamu all disappeared. The supposedly vanished group stands along with the princess and Sadith, as Mamu says that they have got more people than she expected. She tells fiancé that she does not need to force herself to come as she is the imperial princess. However, fiancé says that she is proud of her abilities being more capable than the knights of this country. And above all, she wants to go find Earth with her own 2 feet, so she cannot just sit back and wait at the royal palace. Fu says that he does not know what Earth is thinking, but he is an important childhood friend for them. Sadith takes the conversation as she says that all of them are thinking the same thing. They want Earth to come back, want to see him again, and want to properly understand his feelings and thoughts. This time, she is determined to not make the same mistake again. Mamu agrees and asks if they are all prepared, as she makes it clear that she cannot guarantee their safety from now on. Of course, the answer she hears is affirmative. In the forest, Earth dresses up and starts moving. Traynor questions him but does not get a reply, so he shares that in the past, there was a time when he dreamed of such a world where Hiro and his friends created equality among humans and demons. Earth is surprised to hear about his father, so Traynor continues to explain that it was a dream of a world where no conflict arose, a peaceful world beyond trivial barriers between humans and demons. However, there is always a gap between cultures and values that they could not understand, and those trivial things trigger conflicts among them. Even among the same race, fights break out, so it becomes even more difficult if it is a different race. Earth asks if what he did was useless, but Traynor does not think that. He says that Earth's actions certainly saved Akka. By fulfilling Akka's only wish and by becoming his friend, Earth provided great emotional support. Earth thinks that alone does not change anything. Traynor agrees that it does not yet, but he tells Earth to not forget what happened with that ogre, think about him, and become stronger. He tells Earth to not mourn and stop, but to cross the world, and he may find clues to what he feels and how he moves. The answers that even Hiro could not reach. Now, even if they are only doing small things, experience, passion, and lies, now the world is about to change as the story of his growth is still ongoing.